Thanks for tuning into the Adam Carolla Show. You can watch the full show on YouTube. Just search Adam Carolla Show and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also get the podcast wherever you like to listen. And for extra content, ad-free episodes, and more, you can head over to our Substack and sign up today.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
We're coming at you with everything we got!
This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra.
Free!
This is the mindset.
With movies like Pineapple Express, the entire Star Trek film franchise, and Gladiator, and TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts, Pluto TV is always free. Huzzah! Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
All right, Chloe Cole is with us. She's an activist and a detransitioner, which is, boy, something I never even thought. I don't even know if I thought I would ever use that word. Didn't even know. I don't know if that word existed several years ago. Yeah, so your story's interesting, and people are, it's in the zeitgeist. The pendulum is sort of swinging back. We live in a crazy society where if you raised your hand even and thought, I'm a parent, I have twins, if your child is saying they're trapped in the wrong body and you raised your hand and started asking questions, you were pilloried and called a heretic and thrown out of the village. That's how insane our society went, and maybe still has gone. But let's talk about your story. Let's start at the beginning. We'll get to now.
Well, thanks a whole lot for welcoming me on the show. I'm really happy to be on, and I'm grateful that you're giving me your platform to be able to talk about my experiences. So I'm somebody who has gone through the process of a medical and gender transition during my childhood, between the ages of 12 to 16. I started believing that I was a boy at 12 years old after years of just being a pretty ordinary tomboy, all things considered. I liked playing video games. I liked going out into the world and adventuring, but I was also very creative. But
Are you from Northern California?
Yeah, I'm from NorCal.
Okay. And what is there? I'll just stop you along the way and shove in some questions. Anything unusual about your childhood?
I mean, nothing was particularly different about me other than the fact that I was a little bit shy and I found it difficult to connect with other people for a pretty good portion of my life, actually. I just didn't really know how to socialize with people. But I never really saw the things that made me different as things that took away from my character or my worth until around the time that I started to hit puberty, which was a little bit earlier than most. I was about 8 or 9 when I started to physically develop. And so there was, as you can imagine, a lot of uncomfortable attention that came with that it made me very uncomfortable in my skin. And
yeah. No, I get it. I'm hearkening back to a girl that I believe when I was like in the 6th grade or something got her period or something and people made fun of her. And I now think back on how terrifying that must have been for her sitting in that class, just experiencing this before others. And you at 8 or 9 is very young to start puberty kicking in.
Right. And I mean, being one of the first to develop in my class, like both boys and girls, and even sometimes like teachers and like adults outside of my family would comment on like my curves or whatever else was happening to my body. And when you're at that age, it's a lot more pressure than just to go through it normally, I think.
Sure.
And in this day and age, you have, I mean, girls are growing up with so much pressure with social media, what they're seeing, these very perfected images of grown women that they have to compare themselves to. And in the midst of all of that, I was like, I don't even feel like I'm that feminine. I don't like wearing makeup. I don't like the feminine things that a lot of other girls do. And I find that I relate a lot more to my older brothers. Why am I even going through this? What is the point of going through all of this if I don't feel like I'm enough as a woman? So that feeling started very young, but I didn't actually believe that I was a young man or that I was something different until I was about 12 years of age.
And I think a lot of people think that, I don't know, people get radicalized, for lack of a better term, but they get influenced by Hollywood or their parents or whoever, their gay uncle or something. But I don't know. I don't buy as much into that, just like I don't really buy you're too young, but they used to say, you know, this hard rock music makes kids violent, or these video games make people violent. I was sort of like, everyone I knew just sort of did what they did. There wasn't a lot of, you know, believing in being influenced by celebrity or music or video games or something like that. But you're in California, and it's a lot more prevalent, this subject, than it would be if you were in Nebraska. And also, you're young. I mean, you got right in the heart of it. You know, if this is Nebraska and it's 40 years ago, it's probably not something that's even going through your mind. Or if it is, you just ignore it, right? Because there's really nothing to do.
I mean, this has become something of a global phenomenon, I would argue, and this is... I actually know a woman from Nebraska who went through all this at the same age,
Really?
if not a little bit younger, actually, and came out with the same outcome.
Well,
but
I'll say it's more prevalent on the coast,
right,
I guess, than it is in the heartland. Let's say.
I've been to so many places across the U.S. now, speaking on legislation, speaking to different communities, speaking to churches, as well as college campuses, and everywhere I've gone, I've met somebody who's either struggling with this, or they know somebody who is struggling with it, but they don't know how to really help them. And I think what it really comes down to is internet influence. I think that, sure, media and even sometimes one's family might be influencing them into questioning these things, but I think the most prominent influence in the lives of these children who become confused about their sex and about their bodies is the influence of the internet. And that certainly was what it was for me. I didn't know that transgenderism was really a thing until I started using the internet. And it started with pretty innocent, like, memes and, like, connecting with other people across the world over, like, shared interest around things like rock music that I listened to, or bands that I liked, or cartoons that I watched. But there was, I think now, in a lot of what they call fan bases on the internet, they've become very oriented around ideology and not just the interest around themselves, not just the interest itself. Like, in a lot of these communities now, it's filled with these young adults and these children even who are focusing primarily on left-wing ideology. It was through these communities where I first came to learn, like, to connect with other people around my interests, that I started learning about things like feminism, about, like, queer theory, and then eventually I learned about transgenderism through these other kids who were... The thing that really drew me in the most was not just, like, the novelty of these subjects, but knowing that these other kids were going through exactly what I was at that time, being confused about the changes of puberty and the discomfort that comes with that, and not really knowing who they were until they supposedly found their true selves through the lens of transitioning. So
now you're 12 or 13, and you're starting to consider seriously transitioning.
Right. And it was never just one moment in time that I just immediately thought, okay, this is me. It was through peer influence, arguably, and seeing these other kids who were very similar to me in a lot of ways, not just superficially through our interests, but also in the things that they struggle with at home or mentally, and these... just the normal confusion that happens around puberty, I would say.
How's the rest of your life working at that point? Are you playing sports? Are your grades okay? Do you have friends? Your family unit intact?
I mean, my grades were good, but I was struggling to make friends at school. I had just moved to a new school, and I was pretty much the odd one out at all times. And as much as I wanted to play sports, I was worried about... I wasn't a very coordinated kid. I didn't have a good relationship with my body for the most part, in a lot of different ways. I was very sedentary, and I was worried about the judgment that people would give me if I didn't play well on the team. So I ruined myself. I shrunk. I didn't want to be a burden, but in doing so, I kind of denied myself of building an identity in a normal way. I think that a lot of kids do at that time, and that was what added the confusion.
So you start considering this transition notion. You're on the internet. You're finding like-minded people, and there's a community. And what point do you speak about this to your parents or to a counselor, to a doctor, or whomever?
So after a period of kind of sitting with myself and asking myself questions like, who am I? Just going through these different labels like, oh, maybe I'm a lesbian, maybe I'm bisexual. And then eventually settling on just thinking that I was a boy, because I always felt like I was more like my big brothers than my big sisters and the girls around me. I went through a period where I just didn't really tell anybody other than people who I knew on the internet about it, because I was really afraid of how people at school and people in my family would react about such a big change in my life. And I wanted to start to change my appearance before I tried to convince the people around me that I was somebody else.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I never really thought about it, but when you say like you considered, well, maybe I'm a boy, how does that manifest itself in terms of thought? Like, I was supposed to be born a boy, or, God made a mistake, or I am a boy sort of in a female body. But, as a boy, I'm trying to think how I reconcile that thought. Like, I go, well, maybe I'm a girl. I would go, well, you're not any more than your dog or a cat. But what does that mean to go like, maybe I'm a boy?
I mean, I guess it would help to put it into perspective by talking about the ideology that I was learning about from this community that claims that sex and gender are two different things, that sex is something that's not observed at birth, but assigned to you, just so happens to be assigned to you
I do love
when you're born.
I love assigned
and that gender is this internal sense of being either male or female or somewhere in between or out of those things.
Right.
And that some people just so happen to be born with a sense that they were in the wrong body. And that those people,
right,
that presents as like distress around your body and wanting to be more like the opposite sex, either physically or behaviorally. And the only way for those people to become happy is by going down this particular lifestyle, and for a lot of them, this experimental, lifelong set of procedures. And so I thought, okay, well, I've always called myself a tomboy, but I've also always felt that maybe there was something else that was different about me. And the more that I go through puberty and the more I see my breasts developing, the more judgment people give me for it, the more uncomfortable I feel with myself. So maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I'm actually a man.
Were you ever suicidal?
I wasn't suicidal. No, I wasn't suicidal. I was lonely. I was depressed, but I was determined to find myself a better life. That was all that I wanted. But everything started to take a turn once I actually started to go down the medical route of things. That was when I became suicidal for the first time in my life.
So you had to, well, I don't know that you had to, it's California. Before you started to go down the medical route, did you have to have this discussion with your parents? Did they have to sign off on it? How was this, as a minor, I'm guessing you can't just walk into a doctor's office and start getting puberty blockers, but I don't know. It's California.
I mean, for as long as you're under the jurisdiction of your parents, you still need to have parental sign off. But there are states working on laws that make it so that children can get around that. And I think there are also, in California, children can even run away from their parents and be under the jurisdiction of the state and be able to get a hold of these treatments. But at the time, I felt like my mom and dad deserved to know that I was going through this,
Were you,
and I knew that I wouldn't be
at this point?
Yeah, I was. Well, it was just before my 13th birthday, about a month before, and I knew that I wouldn't really be able to get help for it if they didn't have any involvement. So I came clean to them. I wrote a letter to them, and I think they actually were very sensible about it at the time, And considering like how little information there was that was critical of this and really talked about what this actually does to a developing body, but they never believed that I was transgender. They never believed that I was a boy, and they just saw me as their beautiful little tomboyish girl who was going through a rough time. But they also didn't know what was causing these feelings for me, because I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and they never had to deal with this with any of my older brothers or sisters. So they thought, okay, this must be something psychological. There must be something that we don't see, and we are going to get professional help for this, which I think it's a pretty sane idea. But I don't think any parent going through this with their kid is going to be prepared for the fact that they are basically going to have to fight against the institutions to really get their children help and keep them out of harm's way.
Yes. How would you describe your parents? Would you describe them? I mean, they sound pretty rational. They also sound a bit traditional, but they seem pretty, reasonable. I guess I would say a lot of parents would react differently.
Yeah, my mom and dad, I would say they're pretty smart people. My mom is a nurse, and my dad has worked in tech for pretty much his whole life. And they're not really particularly politically aligned. In fact, I would argue they're like quite a bit more left than I am. But that was never something that played a part in how they treated this. They just saw their daughter. They saw everything for what it is, and they wanted to get me help through this confusing part of my life.
Yeah, and this is where the system gets really confusing. And I think we'll probably get into that as we're about to. But I can tell you, we just went through it with COVID. Every Dr. Fauci and every expert was telling everybody to get vaccinated, and I don't blame the moms sitting at home watching CNN, seeing all these experts. He's the head of the CDC and he's the head of the WHO and this leading expert, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and they're telling you, get your kid, and you're just sitting there going, well, that's what the experts are saying. When my kid, and there's, part of it is a money grab and a scam. But here's what I'm saying, and it's nothing like what you went through, but all the mechanisms are the same. My son was born. The doctor said, I see a little asymmetry in his skull. Might be a little off. And of course, I, being me, go, hey, looks fine. But my wife goes, what do you mean, asymmetry in the skull? Well, it may not shape the plates or whatever. And it's like, of course, my wife's immediately concerned, right? And so he goes, I'll tell you what, why don't we just set you up with an expert? And the expert will come out and they'll take some measurements and do a scan, and then we'll figure out. They'll let them do it. Next thing you know, you're at the expert. Then the expert's examining my son. Yeah, I could see this. Literally said his glasses might not sit right on his head. $5,000 later, we had a plastic helmet that we're supposed to strap on the kid's head. We're supposed to be on for like 23 hours a day for like a year. It's insane. We strapped it on one night for about an hour. He's never stopped crying. Took the helmet off, threw it away. And now he's 19. His head looks perfect. But the whole point is I'm not buying into it, but I can't fight City Hall. We got an expert. We got a mom who's scared. We got a kid who's crying. And all I can do is step back and go. And by the way, they throw the expert at you. They go, this person's an expert, and this is what they think. Now, who are you? And then the system kicks in. And I don't know if that was a sort of version that happened with you or not, but I'm telling you, it exists everywhere.
Right. And it's only natural that we want to trust these people who have dedicated huge chunks of their lives to studying their area of focus. They have a degree on the wall, and they're in very important positions. So we want to be able to trust them, but we're unfortunately at a point in time where our institutions, and especially our medical institutions, have placed ideology over actually caring for patients. And that presents itself in
Yes.
so many different ways, like the overdiagnosis of mental health conditions and overprescription of like amphetamines and such for conditions that a lot of kids arguably don't even have, and which also had happened to me with the diagnosis of ADHD and being put on varying adult male doses of varying drugs over the years, which, I mean, I could talk all day about. But when you're faced with these people as a parent who promise to do no harm to your child, to help in raising your child through either something mental that there's something psychiatric that they're struggling with, or maybe they have the condition supposedly with their bodies, and the only option that they're giving you in this case with me and my parents was transition or death.
Well,
that's terrifying.
How did you find the therapist?
So it was through my healthcare provider at the time, Kaiser Permanente.
So you told your parents. Your parents are like, well, maybe a little dubious, but like, okay, we'll seek the advice of an expert.
They thought it over for a little bit. And part of the reason why I wrote them a letter was because I just wanted to give them some time to think it over before we all like talk together as a family. And in the background, they started doing their research because they knew next to nothing about this, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was like Bruce had recently transitioned to Caitlin at the time, and that was about the extent of their knowledge on it.
Right.
But they wanted to know more about this and why possibly a child would even be thinking about it. And everything pointed them in direction of get psychiatric intervention or care for your child as soon as possible. And they thought, okay, so what care is going to look like for her in a medical setting is they're going to look at all the underlying factors that might be leading to this. They're going to rule anything out, and they're going to help her deal with this and cope with these feelings in an age-appropriate way, and help her build her identity without anything permanent happening. Mm-hmm. But it was the very opposite. It was like there was this huge rush to get me maybe what I wanted at the time, naively, but not really focus on the actual problems and what I needed.
Right.
So everything.
They found a therapist through Kaiser.
Yes.
And you went and visited the therapist with your family, or did you go alone?
So, I mean, these appointments were, I think per even California law, were just between me and the psychologist. And they're, I think from the age of 12, children are considered to be, they're considered to be emancipated in the healthcare system when it comes to at least their mental health records. Mm-hmm. So my mom and dad couldn't like get a glimpse into what was happening. They were never being followed up with about what was actually being talked about in the appointments. And what was really happening, at least with this first therapist, was that I was being told, okay, well, cool. Your name is Leo, and you're a boy, and we're gonna go along with that, but we're not really gonna question it.
A male or female?
It was a man, but I only saw him for about a month before I end up being, I guess he like went out of the system or something. I ended up being transferred to another psychologist, but he didn't really do. None of these people really did much for me, and my mom and dad could see from the outside that even though I was going to therapy, I wasn't really getting better by any metric.
Well, okay, so they looked at their job as a therapist to sort of expedite this transition versus sit there and really try to get to the root of what was going on with you psychologically.
I mean, that's how they used to be trained to look at the root of the problem and to look at the person as a whole rather than just focusing on their gender. But now it's completely flipped, and psychologists and really any medical professional are trained such as that. They're supposed to be focusing on affirmation of these feelings and of the supposed patient's identity and referring them to services to try and affirm that as soon as possible.
Yes.
Particularly medical resources like drugs and surgeries. And that was really the focus of it for me. Even I was getting frustrated at the time because it was like I had real problems that were going on at school with being bullied and not being able to make friends that were just not really being focused on. And my mom and dad, watching from the outside, were like, okay, we're getting really frustrated with this. We are going to talk to the doctors ourselves and get to the bottom of this. And as soon as they did that, the one thing that they were told over and over again was that this was not a choice for me, that it was not a phase, I was not going to outgrow it, that I was born a boy on some level, and it was going to be, they were going to have to choose between letting me persist in this feeling without intervention and eventually become so distressed about my sex that I would become at risk for suicide and take my own life. Or they could affirm me in this. They could accept me as their son and allow me to go on this permanent medical pathway of treatment. And they would never have said yes to the latter or any of that in a million years if it weren't for the fact that my life wasn't threatened. They weren't given any other option. They weren't given the sane option of, let's take a step back, let's help her, let's assess what is really going on and help her through that while letting her grow up like any other kid.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and the left does this a lot. They glom onto these sayings or isms, and then so what somebody says is, would you like a dead daughter or living son? And you go, and they go, well, that's the option. You know what I mean? And they go, well, first off, who signed off on that? Like they'll just go, walls don't keep people out; they keep people in. And then everyone goes, oh yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Walls keep people out of places all the time. All the places you don't want people to come in, there's a wall. But they do these idioms, and people go, oh well, yeah, I would rather have a living son than a dead daughter, And they do this. They do it with everything. They go, these immigrants, they come here and they contribute more than the average American. You go, wow, that's true. But I don't know what they're basing it on. You mean people that don't pay taxes contribute more than people who do pay taxes? What are you talking about? But they lay stuff out. They get it going. People nod their head. And then the next thing you know, it like infects everybody. And so then the experts who are infected say to the parents, would you like your living son or a dead daughter? And they go, oh, I don't want a dead daughter. And they go, oh, okay, we'll sign this. And we're off and running. And then at some point, it all gets debunked. At some point. But when you're in it, you believe it.
Right. And especially at the time, this was almost 10 years ago now that I think about it, when my family and I were going through this, and the culture has just completely shifted from what it was then, and there was so much more awareness on the other side of this issue. But that mantra of living son versus dead daughter that is used by medical professionals to really rope parents in and make them feel like they have no other choice but to do this, because the very biggest fear that any mother, any father could have about their child is threatened.
By the way, there is
nobody wants to outlive their own child.
There was no statistical data that suggested that was true. Just like they didn't have anything with COVID either, but they just took off running with it. And like I said, that's one thing if the ladies from The View are doing it, but it's another thing when established physicians, psychologists, psychiatrists, the medical establishment is doing it. You don't expect them to do it.
Right. I mean, a lot of medical professionals are a lot more, I guess, separated from the world than they even realize. A lot of them might not even realize that they're in this left-wing ideological bubble, a lot of them, in these training sessions when they're told affirm, affirm, affirm.
Right.
And that's how they teach these medical students to handle these vulnerable young people now.
You have to think about if you would like to be like the clearest thinking people I know are people who didn't go to college, right? Great, trade people are the clearest thinking people I know. But the ones who went to college for 4 years got their brain scrambled a little bit, but the longer you stay in college, the more you get your brain scrambled. And if you want to be a doctor, you got to spend a lot of time on campus. And so now you're getting a community that is steeped in college, and so you're going to get a different ideology and things will be politicized.
And I think, unfortunately, I'm observing exactly that playing out with my own peers. And as I've been touring across college campuses for, I think, the last 3 years now, I've noticed that so many of them have been so focused on only one side of the aisle, on pushing out any dissenting narratives, even like trying to make it so that it's either incredibly difficult or impossible for me to even speak on campus. And they've basically become indoctrination machines. They're no longer they're no longer these bastions of truth and education and research as they once were. And it's incredibly frustrating to see them as they are now. Because
Agreed.
for a lot of people, I think that, I mean, I feel like so many people, there's this other mantra of, oh, college is just a scam and nobody should go. And well, I mean, I personally chose not to go to college. I don't think that I will be for the foreseeable future. But I mean, there's so many people out there who will have to go. They'll have to get a degree depending on what career that they want. And we can't just let these institutions rot. We have to challenge them and make them a better place for most people to make it so that they're back to the respected institutions that they once were.
Agreed. So you now will pick up your story. You're seeing therapists, and they're basically all sort of heading one direction. And now it's time for treatment, right? So how does that manifest itself?
So after my mom and dad were told this not just once, but over and over again, that it was basically a matter of life or death for me, and then my diagnosis of gender dysphoria.
Did you ever express that you were suicidal to anybody?
No. So
that's
I actually was not present, I don't think, for this. And they were telling this to my mom and dad behind my back without me telling anybody that I was suicidal. Maybe I said that I was depressed, but I wanted to just be happy. I didn't want to die. I wanted to live, and I wanted to live more than ever.
Right. So they expressed this to your parents, and now it's time to start treatment.
So, yes, we were referred to an endocrinologist, and about halfway through my 8th grade year was when I was given the first 2 prescriptions. So they gave me a drug called Lupron, which is considered to be a puberty-blocking drug. It stops the connection between the brain and the gonads. So I stopped having menses. I stopped developing completely while I was on them. And because I was already in puberty, I basically started to experience menopause. So at 13 years old, I was going through hot flashes. I was going through these like uncomfortable physical sensations, and I just felt emotionally numb while I was on them. So you can imagine it's like, okay, I want to move on to the next thing because this sucks. I want to be off of this train. I want to be on to the next thing already and be who I've been told I am supposed to be. And about a month after that, I got my first shot of testosterone, and I took injections every week for about almost 3.5 years. And over time, I started to look more and more like a young man. My facial structure, my bone structure started to become a little bit more chiseled. I started to develop a lot more muscle. I started developing even like a little bit of facial hair, and like just the hair everywhere on my body, like from my legs to my arms, even on the top of my head. My eyebrows just became like so much thicker. I've always had like very naturally thin hair, so it was kind of an exciting change actually. And it was like, okay, so I'm starting to look like a young man. My voice is getting really deep. My voice sounds pretty feminine now, I think.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in time, I actually had a deeper voice than almost all my male peers. It was kind of impressive, actually. But
you know, the thing that's crazy is when they go, first off, they make these proclamations, like these puberty blockers are proven to be safe. It's like, proven over who? At what time period? When? And also, you want to talk about interrupting nature, puberty blocker. Like, I don't know what else you could do to interrupt nature more than blocking puberty, and God knows whatever downstream consequences that goes along with. But I mean, it was sort of like, I do remember during COVID, these chicks on CNN going, look, I got the I got the vaccination. It's proven to be safe, and it's proven not to have any side. I was like, proven? You took it 4 weeks ago. What do you mean? How do you know what's coming 10 years from now or 50 years from now vis-a-vis this medication? So yes, puberty blocking, just to a layperson, sounds like an incredible experiment.
I mean, puberty is the only process through which a child can fully mature into an adult, not just physically and sexually, but also psychologically and socially. It's arguably one of the most important periods of development and identity formation, and we're taking that away from these children who are, by the way, generally perfectly physically healthy, and the issue is not their body, but a psychological issue that they're experiencing. We're using physical treatments for that.
So you get off the puberty blockers and get on to testosterone.
So I was on the blockers for about a year alongside testosterone, and it was just, they put me on it for the purpose of clearing out my hormones, and making way for the new exogenous male hormones. And
I'm sorry, who's paying for this?
So in California, these treatments are required to be paid by insurance companies, and basically all my mom and dad had to pay was about $50, $100 for co-pays for appointments, and that was it.
Wow.
So the state is actually, in a way, incentivizing families to go through this, because when they're being told, okay, this is life-saving care, so it must be expensive, right? Oh, well, this completely paid off, and it helps my child, so why wouldn't I go on this?
Right. Yeah. You have any idea how much it would cost if it was coming out of pocket?
I think the lifetime costs go from anywhere from. It depends on the treatments that you're getting. Like for the individual surgeries, it can be anywhere from $5,000 to I think $50,000, and so for some people, it's upwards of $100,000 to for those who go all in on the cosmetics, even potentially millions.
Yeah, and that's the surgeries, right? But then there's all the medications. Once you've already been castrated, once your sex organs have already been removed and your body can't function on its own, you're dependent on hormone administration for life. Even if you detransition, a lot of detransitioners will have to, who've already been through sex reassignment, will have to be on testosterone or estrogen for life because their bodies can no longer produce it in the amount that they need to support themselves. So you're on testosterone, you do the puberty blockers, early menopause sets in, crazy. And when are we talking about surgery?
So I started the drugs while I was in middle school. And socially, I was at a point in time where people were actually confused. I told nobody about this in school. And so it just went from one day I was looking like pretty much any other girl, maybe with shorter hair. And then over the course of a few weeks, my voice started to deepen. I started to look more like the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. And I opted not to tell anybody about it and just go into high school. And that would be when, once I went to my freshman year, I pretty much looked and sounded like any other boy my age. And I went through most of my high school career being perceived as a young man, with most people, other than those who went to school with me before, having no clue who I actually was. And so I was actually accepted amongst my peers as a young man. And even though I thought that I was happy for a while, mm-hmm. I was really starting to feel the burden of all of this on my shoulders, because I knew even deep down that I was lying to everybody around me and even myself. And every day at school, I would come back home, I would take off this binder, this compression device. I would squish my breasts into my body to make it look like they weren't there. And I'd still see, no matter how hard I tried, I still was a woman. And that it was kind of a futile effort. And that was what made me start to think about surgery, because I was like, okay, my body is... well, maybe the problem isn't the transition itself. I just need to go further into it so I can be truly happy and never have to think about this ever again. And at 15 years old, that was when I went under the knife to remove my breasts.
15. Were you having crushes on boys or girls, or sort of normal young girl thoughts about boyfriends or dances or going steady or whatever it was? I could kind of remember being a young man and just having sort of wild crushes on girls in classes and not having the courage to go talk to them. But my mind was always like, oh my God, oh, look at her. She's so cute. Did the medication suppress those kinds of thoughts?
So, I mean, I've always been straight, and for when I was growing up, I was pretty boy crazy. I had all sorts of crushes on celebrities, on classmates, and I don't think the drugs really suppressed that. It was definitely socially awkward. It was kind of an awkward role to be in, considering I was trying to pass myself off as a guy. So I never got myself involved with men during that point in time, or anybody, because I knew I had this feeling of like, I mean, I'm a little young to be getting into this kind of thing, and I feel like I'm going to disappoint somebody if they expect that I'm one thing and I actually have the body of the other, and I'm not going to put that on somebody else. But it was actually when I realized that this was all stuff that I was being put through too young, and that one day I wanted to become a mother, I wanted to become a wife and have children of my own naturally. And I had lost a significant part of my sexuality before I even had my first kiss, before I could even drive a car. That made me go, this needs to end now. This is something that's taking away adult parts of my life before I've even grown up yet.
So you have the top surgery scheduled for at 15. You're
Yes.
in the 10th grade or 9th grade or whatever you are at 15.
It was just after my sophomore year, yeah.
And are your parents at that point going, maybe we should pump the brakes on this a minute or delay it a bit? Or how are they? What's their posture?
My
with
mom and
top
dad were
surgery?
actually very critical. They were very critical towards the doctors and when they would suggest medical treatment. But every single time they would bring up their concerns, they weren't just ignored, but they were told, it's life or death for your kid.
Right.
If you don't do this for them,
Yes.
if you don't do this for her, she's going to die. And
Yes. Or going to kill
I mean,
herself.
that fear
Himself.
can override, I think, any common sense
Yeah,
for
no, I
anybody.
get
And I
it.
don't blame my mom and dad.
No, look. First off, if your kid said, I want to transition, or I get this top surgery, and you just put your foot down and said absolutely not, and at some point you came home and your kid had killed themselves, you would never get over it. You would blame yourself. So you get top surgery, and I don't even know how it works exactly. You can tell me.
So the mastectomy, the way they went about it, and they described it in almost very simplified detail to me to make it more palatable for a 15-year-old going into surgery. And what they told me they were going to do was, okay, we are going to make an incision into each breast, and then we're going to take the tissue out and leave a little bit in for contouring purposes. But we're also going to take your areolas, the skin around your nipples, and we are going to basically cut that and make it so that it's and like paste it onto a part of the chest to make it into a more masculine appearance and positioning. And I mean, I feel like to any adult with common sense, that already sounds pretty gory, and it's a
all of
horrific
this sounds
process to go through.
It all sounds kind of ghoulish to me. Like if I was a surgeon, people get into professions thinking they're going to do one thing and sometimes end up doing another. Sometimes people go, I'm going to be a cop so I can save lives and make a
Right.
difference. The next thing you know, you're writing chicken shit tickets to housewives. You know what I mean? That's sort of your lot. But
it didn't help that he was so matter of fact about it, and they use these cute terms like top surgery and bottom surgery to make it sound like it's less scary than it actually is.
I'm just saying, like, your average surgeon thinks he's going to be on some ship helping kids from Africa with their cleft palate or something, and now you're just mutilating healthy bodies. I mean, I don't know how they'd I couldn't wrap my mind around that if I was a surgeon. They're obviously insanely well trained, but yet they're now using this to mutilate young men and women.
I mean, his attitude around it seemed to be so nonchalant, both before and after the surgery. I asked him a year after I detransitioned, I think, in a consultation I had with him, because I was actually having complications from the grafts that he made that were just not healing. They started bleeding. I started having other issues with them, and I couldn't help but meekly ask him at the time, why would you do this to me? And he was very blunt. He was very matter of fact again in his response of, well, I thought it was okay because you had another doctor sign off on this.
Yeah.
There's no critical thinking on the part of these doctors who do this. They just think, okay, this is the standard, this is what I've been trained to do, and somebody else signed off on it, so it must be okay. They're not, and I can understand what leads to that mentally, because especially when you're a surgeon, you have to kind of separate the human being from the body. Otherwise, you're just thinking about the fact that you're cutting into flesh all the time. But you can't let that override your instincts and your judgment as a doctor and as an adult.
So you get the top surgery, you're on testosterone. When does it start? You're going through high school as a boy, and there's no relationships to have, I imagine. When does it start to dawn on you that maybe this was a phase versus a lifestyle?
I think the loneliness was the first thing that made me start to question everything. It was watching my peers start to go through relationships of their own with each other, and then eventually learning a little bit more about, I think, just the human mind in general, but the way that we connect with other people and how the mind develops from infancy to adulthood, and the importance of love in that process. And psychology class of mine that led to me realizing more and more, this is taking away some of the most human parts of my life. And the further I go in, the more that I deny myself of all of that. And I can't keep going in this. It was about a year, 11 months actually after surgery. It wasn't even a year yet, when one night I just broke down crying. I think a few weeks before that, I had just had a lesson in my class about breastfeeding and the importance of that and the bond between a mother and her child. And I just had this moment after finishing that lesson where I looked down at my chest and I was wearing a shirt, but I could visualize the scars. And then I imagined still having breast and having a newborn and being able to nurse my child. And that broke me. Yeah. After thinking about that, I couldn't function for a long time. I couldn't forgive myself. I couldn't forgive my doctors. And I thought my life was over. At 16, I thought that I wasn't even going to make it to adulthood and that I was already ruined.
Was there a fantasy, well, maybe not even a fantasy, but was there a plan to go, well, I'm just going to become a man and then I'll date women as a man?
I mean, I never really thought about women in that way. Sometimes I would feel curiosity towards women romantically, but I mean, part of that was the influence of the testosterone, the way that it just like flares your sex drive, which is another like wildly inappropriate part of this for me to be going on at 13 years old. But I knew that I would always be attracted to men and I would always want a husband and I wouldn't really want things any other way. But it was also that led to me realizing this is not really, maybe it's not the most natural or the easiest way for me to live either, because, well, if I get married and I have kids, well, what are my kids going to call me? So the dad's going to be dad, but am I going to be mom? Am I going to be dad? It doesn't feel natural either way. And what about, how am I going to teach these kids about this in a way that won't lead to confusion later in adulthood for them.
Yeah, for me, when I think about this stuff, I'm like, all right, so you're not going to be a girl anymore. You'll become a boy, but then what? Like, how good is your life going to be? I sometimes think, what if I decided to be a woman? And then I think, it'd be horrible. I'd be a horrible woman. Like, I'd walk weird. People would know. Like, I wouldn't be an attractive. I could never be a great looking version of this thing that I wasn't. And then who would I date? Like, what about life after the transition? You know what I mean? Like, everyone just goes, well, once you're a boy. Sorry, you're a woman with a male trapped inside you, and then once we let him out, then you just have a rosy future. But it's like, no, it seems like there's going to be trouble after. It's like a life of trouble. Not to mention all the things you've ingested and have to constantly ingest along the way that are changing all the biology.
I think there is a systemic failure in really realistically talking about this in the doctor's office, on both the part of the patient having difficulty really reflecting on where the root problems lie, and also on the doctors doing the same thing, but reinforcing it. And when you're about to make really any lifelong change, you have to be realistic with yourself. You have to, if you're thinking about going down this route, which it is permanent, once you've lived years as the opposite sex socially, or if you do the drugs or have the surgeries, there is no reversing that, even if you choose to detransition. And you have to think about the permanence of it, but you also have to really, really think about how it's going to age for you, because the way that a transition plays out is going to change over the course of a year, 5 years, 10 years, over the decades of your life. And when you look at the long-term outcomes of these treatments, it doesn't age well. The women who get their uteruses removed and they go into early menopause, well, then they're at risk of things like prolapses or developing very early onset dementia. The men who go on these treatments over a long period of time, they are at risk of male breast cancer, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and that's not even going into the physical consequences of being completely sterile. It's not just about whether you're able to have kids, but you're not able to have healthy sexual function, which is a very important part for adulthood for almost everybody. And when you're doing this to children, the younger that you go, the worse that the consequences are. When you start these treatments before a certain age, a child will never be able to sexually develop or have kids of their own. And children just do not have the developmental maturity or worldly experience to be able to really truly sit down with themselves and ask, do I really want this for myself? I know I do.
Yeah, they don't have the capacity to do it. I've said many times, like, when I was 15 or 16, if someone said, look, I will guarantee that you can play in the NFL for 8 years, but you're going to die at 40. I'd go, give me that. I'll sign that. I'll fucking do it in a second, because 40 seemed a long ways away, and the NFL seemed like a pretty good dream. I would have signed a lot of stuff. I would have made tons of I would have signed many contracts when I was 15, and like I said, died 40. I would have went, fine, who cares? I'll be an old man. Like, you just don't really have the capacity to think down over the horizon,
right?
And you do stupid things. I when I was 19, I just rode a motorcycle with a bald tire. I'd ride in the rain. I didn't care. I was 19 and never really thought about ever being old, So the notion that we're doing this with people of that age is criminal to me, really. But for you, in the short time we have left, you get the top surgery. Is there a bottom surgery in the in the waiting plans? I mean, are we going full Monty here, or what are we doing?
I think as naive as I was and as young as I was at the time, I knew that I did not want to go through that process. I knew that it was experimental and that it would never actually make me to the opposite sex. So I thought, okay, it's not worth the risk. As much as I wish I didn't have what I have, I am not going to do that to myself. And thankfully, I opted to get out of it before I went to any further change. And I mean, compared to a lot of my friends, I've managed to come out relatively unscathed.
Well, the top surgery is regrettable, but the bottom surgery would have to be a catastrophe. I mean, in terms of what that is involved with that. One is, cosmetic plus, but the other would just be a complete... as much as you probably wish you never got the top surgery, not getting the bottom surgery, that is a huge bullet dodged, I would say.
Yes, and I've lost a lot. I've grieved a lot. I wish that I didn't miss out on such a critical period of my life, but I'm grateful that I didn't lose more because I've seen just how bad it can get. And I still have so much of my life ahead of me, and I've realized over the years, I'm not alone, and I could use my experience to help other children, to help other families in need, as well as bring more national awareness around this and what is actually happening in our hospital systems.
What percentage of people regret it? Not necessarily detransition, but just sort of if they had a magic wand and they're now 25 or 30, they'd undergone the surgeries and the hormonal therapies and things like that. What percentage, you may never know, but you may take a guess, would say, I wish I was just back at 15 and never even went down that road?
So right now, we don't really have proper statistics on this because... well, a lot of the studies that are conducted around it don't really have standardized definitions of things like detransition or even regret itself. And they'll actively exclude people like me from participating in these surveys and in these studies. So they can't even get the numbers that they would actually need. And that is on purpose, of course.
Sure.
The most commonly cited statistic is about 0.3 to about 1%. But where that actually comes from is a survey where people were incentivized to take it to win like a gift card or something. Mm-hmm. So it's already, I mean, you're already biasing what kind of answers you're going to get from that alone. But I mean, to speak a little bit more broadly to my own experience, and to that of many, something that's universal amongst detransitioners is that many of us are already too traumatized to go back to the same doctors who did this to us. And they don't follow up with this, so they don't know. Or even if they do know, they don't care to report it. I tried with every single doctor that I had at that time, both those who were involved with my transition, even just like my primary care physician, to get my sex marker changed back, get my name changed back, to put on file that I regretted my transition and I was going back to embracing my God-given or birth identity. And I still get letters from Kaiser. I still get mail sent home and emails calling me Mr. Leo.
Yeah, it's kind of the establishment. It's like, sorry to keep going back to COVID, but everybody who died in a motorcycle accident during COVID, they just stamped COVID as the cause of death. They're so easily corruptible. It's kind of eye-opening and wildly disappointing. You kind of got it. When I was young, they'd run these hidden camera scams where like old people would pull their RV into a transmission shop and then they'd show the guy sabotaging the transmission and then saying to the old couple, it's going to be $8,000, and you go, that guy's a scumbag, but he's a transmission mechanic, you know what I mean? I didn't know doctors would do this. Yeah. That's essentially what they're doing.
Right. You would expect the same people who did this to you to be able to help you back out of it, but I mean, on a systemic level, there's nothing there's no guidance even for the doctors. So without any codes, any billing codes, without any standards of care, without even any mention of the possibility of regret or detransition for these treatments, And with the way that these doctors are trained, they think, well, this is something that is statistically very unlikely and probably like a huge anomaly if it does happen. So they just look at patients like me and they kind of just like sit and scratch their head because it's like, well, we're going to be continuing the experiment if we do anything about this. And a lot of them don't want to be liable for that.
Are you on any medication now?
Not currently. I don't even know if I'm kind of afraid, frankly, of starting any new medication just after my experiences. And
is there any medication for detransitioning?
Well, I mean, if my body was at the point where it couldn't produce hormones on its own, I would have to be taking estrogen for life, basically. But I mean, thankfully, I seem to be healthy enough. I still have some complications that really significantly affect my quality of life. But I mean, there's so little unknowns on the long-term effects of these treatments that doctors don't even know really what to do for people like me. And I'm determined to change that. I don't know how, but I want to make sure that there is so much more research on this and that more measures are being made to protect kids from going through this as well.
Are you having a relationship? Are you able to have relationships?
I remember thinking at 16 years old, after really realizing the weight of losing my breasts, it's so over for me. I'm never going to be able to have a boyfriend. I am ugly forever. Nobody wants a scarred woman. I'm just damaged goods. I've been perfectly fine. I haven't had a whole lot of...
You're young and attractive, so I would imagine, guys being guys.
But, I mean, I was so insecure for so long. I just thought there was no picking up my life. But I've become determined to show other people in the same situation there's life after transition. And no matter what you've been through, whether it is detransitioning or addiction or any point of in your life that's made you feel broken, you can use that same story to help other people. Just put yourself out there because you don't know what you are capable of.
Well, ironically, sort of strange twist of fate, you now have a purpose.
I do. I had that sense of purpose that I was looking for all along through transitioning that I actually found by using the things that I used to not be able to accept about myself to help other people through that same process.
And what is the feedback? Is it... we're living such a crazy time. I mean, you alluded to it a little earlier, going to college campuses. Is there a lot of pushback?
It gets crazy sometimes. It gets really, really wild. And it's been that way from the very beginning. Even before I started speaking publicly. Mm-hmm. I was ostracized from the transgender community for the sole fact that I no longer identified as transgender. And I was looked at as a traitor rather than somebody who needed help. Somebody who was hurt by this thing that we were all going through. And so I knew going into this, people are really going to hate me for this. But as I wasn't deterred. The first time that I ever spoke in a legislature, I got tripped by a transgender person who was sitting in front of me while I was walking back from my seat.
Physically tripped?
Yeah, yes, he stuck out his foot so that I would fall over. And I've had so many things happen since then. I've had people chasing me down in state houses. I've had to call security for events because people have called in bomb threats and threatened to kill me. I regularly get people telling me, "You should die. You should kill yourself. You should hang yourself, or I am going to kill you." And even sending physical hate mail to my home and threatening my family. But
yes, I want to ask you though. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. There's all this transgender violence and school shootings and things of that nature. And the press is always trying to suppress all that kind of stuff because everything is, Klan and white nationalists are creating all the violence because they're liars. But it stands to reason to me that if you're undergoing all this hormonal therapy and you're injecting yourself and taking all these pharmaceuticals, your brain's got to be just sort of all over the road. And something like a school shooting would seem much more plausible to someone whose brain was kind of swimming in chemicals versus just, an average teen hitting puberty. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, having been on these drugs myself, I know just how disorienting it is. And I know just how much it can twist your mind. Just being told that this is going to make you happy and then it just distorting you further and further. It's not an easy process to go through, especially when you're young and you don't know who you are yet. And I feel like on either side, there's people are very black and white about this. There's a lot of the mainstream media is trying to suppress those incidents of these transgender shooters and not make the obvious connection between their mental health issues leading to their transition and then the tragedy that unfolds from that point on. And then there's the people who, of course, are just immediately dismissing them as, oh, they're crazy and they just have mental illness. And I think while that is true, I think the bigger picture is that there is a systemic failure on the part of these individuals to be able to figure out their real problems, and then the doctors worsening that, and then the mainstream media, by choosing to uphold the ideology rather than question it and its role in these violent incidents, is continuing that.
Yes.
And if we want to move forward, if we want to prevent violence, we all have to come together. No matter where we stand on this issue or politically, we have to have an honest, open discussion about this and face the real problems behind this increasing incidence of transgender violence.
I agree. A good note to go out on, an open dialogue. Chloe, where shall I send people? Website?
Yeah,
Chloe
so
Cole?
yeah, I have a website with all my socials linked on it. It's choocole.com, CHOOO, 3 O's in the middle, COLE.com.
Thanks for the dialogue, Chloe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hims, hair loss doesn't fix itself, and the earlier you act, the better. Hims, make starting simple. With 100% online process and personalized treatment plans delivered straight to you. I recently signed up, and it was the simplest thing ever. Their flexible subscription options and access to 24/7 provider support. Hims gives you 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Yeah, I just signed up, answered a couple of easy questions, and off and running. Trust me, you'll feel a lot better, and your hairline is going to be right where it should be with Hims. Right, Dawson?
For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/Adam. That's hims.com/Adam for your free online visit. Hims.com/Adam. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride.
Home chef after the holiday chaos. The last thing you want to do is overthink dinner. Home chef has been great for that. Fresh food shows up pre-portioned, and the recipes are simple enough that even I don't screw them up. Home Chef makes cooking simple, fresh food delivered, easy recipes, from easy sheet pan dinners to heavier cold weather stuff. And it all feels like real food, not a science project. It feels like real food because it is real food. You save a lot of money when you go with Home Chef, and the stuff is great. The meals are exquisite. It's Home Chef, right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/ACS or Adam. That's homechef.com/ACS or Adam for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/ACS or Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace man, full disclosure, sometimes I do a deep leg cross just because it feels good on the old nutsack. Love the show, brother. Keep fighting the good fight. Get it on, get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I wanted to get into some deep leg crossing before Andrew gets into his news, which is, you guys, I think everyone thinks I'm weird, but I don't. Everything stands for something. There's a reason. There's a reason for everything. And some of it is like economics. And like I remember one time I said to somebody, why did we switch from regular iced tea to passion fruit iced tea? Because I don't fucking like it. And I don't know anyone who orders iced tea who wants passion fruit iced tea. But we decided in like March of 2004 just to make the leap. Like we're just up. And then you'd go to restaurants and you'd go, could I have some iced tea? And they go, passion fruit, okay? And I'd go, no, I want regular iced tea. And they go, we could take tea bags and put them in hot water and then freeze it. And I'm like, or you could give me what happened to iced tea. And then somebody explained to me that the passion fruit, something about it's lasted longer. They didn't have to clean it as much or something. I'm totally convinced with this and these fucking cherry tomatoes that nobody likes. All skin. All leather skin and pus, and they start because I think these things will last in a basket in your refrigerator for 7 months versus a beefsteak tomato, which is good for 4 days or whatever it is. There's an economic thing that drives it, and then dumb people go, oh, I like the cherry tomatoes because this one's called a Ruby Grand Beautiful, and it's so cute. And this and the other one, the passion fruit has the word passion in it, so it sounds cool. Okay. By the way, you notice we got rid of the passion fruit iced tea? It's not really around anymore.
So it wasn't an organic push. Somebody was tipping the scale.
Yeah, and then nobody liked it, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. Here's my point. Gavin Newsom and his leg crossing. You can, first off, nobody crossed their legs like he crosses his legs now. But be weary of people that change hard at the age of 50 plus. You know what I mean? Like they're for gay marriage, or now they're against gay marriage, or they're for fracking, or they're against into their twilight years.
No.
It's so full of shit. When people now look, you show me a picture of Gavin Newsom crossing his legs like that in college, I'll go, fine, grandfathered in. There isn't. You can see Obama, how he used to cross his legs. He doesn't do it. So they're doing something. They didn't just go, this is the way I sit. You know what I mean? Because you don't change up. The way you sit is like fundamental to who you are. It's just who you are.
No, it's your gait. It's like a fingerprint.
Thank you. It's uniquely yours. It's your thing. But it's also kind of like how you drive. Like I drive a certain way. Someone else drives another way. My way's better. But the point is, it's just sort of the way, if you really think about it, the way you lounge when nobody is watching is you at your purest self. This is how I sit, whether it's Al Bundy with the hand down the pants, or the leg cross, the amount of sort of recline. The whole point is it's your gait. That's you. That's who you are. We should be able to recognize you. The fact that you changed that at age 52 and a half, suspicious to me. Now, what Gavin Newsom will do, which is interesting, and Obama, you can see pictures of Obama in the war room when they're bombing Libya or something, and when no one's really supposed to know where he is. He's not in front of an audience at the 92Y. He has his legs crossed like I cross my legs. Yeah. Later on, when he gets in front of the crowd at the 92Y in Manhattan, then he does here's how we're crossing our legs. The thing that's funny, I notice about Newsom does the super deep leg cross when he's in front of his partisan progressive crowd. When he's being interviewed by progressive, like a deep progressive guy, he does the deep cross. When he's interviewed by Ben Shapiro, both feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro's got both his feet on the ground because he's not a partisan homo like the guys who interview these guys from the Times. He's just sitting with his feet on the ground when Ben Shapiro. Then when a deep left guy interviews him, then he does the deep cross. And then I saw him on Axios being interviewed by someone who was on this show.
Alex Thompson.
Who's a little more middle of the road. Mm. And now he does the middle of the road leg cross. It's all one big presentation to who's talking to you, which, by the way, means he's full of shit. Because if you're authentic, you have one leg cross. You have one way of everything. And let's see, Alex, who's interviewing. Oh, he's very deeply disappointed about Elon Musk. Aren't we all disappointed about Elon Musk? If you really think about it. I mean, no more so than his mom, right? She's got to be devastated how Elon turned out, right?
Yeah.
That's brutal. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, let's play this.
One of the great disappointments. One of our
Hold on, we got to start
one
at
of the great
we got to start at the start. Sorry.
Musk.
One of the great disappointments.
Musk.
One of the great innovators of our time. I brought up Edison before. He's Edison of our time. It breaks my heart. I was the first,
See, pause there.
First.
Not the deep leg cross. Notice the guy who's talking to him has no leg cross. So he sort of parrots sort of mimes back whatever it is, apes back whatever it is, the guy. So the guy talking to him's got both feet on the ground and is asking him real questions. So Newsom does the middle of the road leg cross with this guy. Ben Shapiro, you get no leg cross. And then when you get the super lefty from the New York Times, then you get the deep leg cross. It's all. But by the way, I don't know that he knows what he's doing. That means he's on autopilot.
Yeah, so he's signaling here.
Yes, he signals. That's what he's always. It's always everything but who he is, because he is nothing. There is no baseline with him. It's just whatever. Here's what I am. Whatever you want me to be, who's sitting across from me right now. That's why. Am I for fracking? No. What are you for? You're for? Okay, then I am for fracking. Am I for transitioning prisoners? Yeah. Oh, what? No? Okay, then I'm not. That's why they just waffle. All right, so he's deeply disappointed in Musk. Why? Because he tried to end corruption.
Tesla's off the line. I've been one of their biggest proponents, supporters. Was regulation in California that created the conditions that allowed him to take the risk to become the multi-billionaire, maybe trillionaire that he's become. But right now he's allowing, and I think this is Trump, not just Elon Musk, he's going to allow the greatest on-goal in, I think, one of the most significant on-goals in the next decade is ceding the EV space to China. They have 70% of the global EV market.
Yeah, this guy fucking does nothing. Is very disappointed in Elon. Listen, Elon realized that Democrats were retarded, and now he's out, and you're burning his dealerships. I get it, and you're so disappointed in the guy who creates billions of jobs and tax revenue. But he loves illegals. But he's not disappointed in them. But he is disappointed in Elon.
He's disappointed in Elon.
All right. Bruce Springsteen has a clip that has been making the rounds because he got woke. Listen, everybody. Listen to me. 30 years ago, remember those glory days, Bruce? Remember the glory days where Bruce Springsteen and Robert De Niro never said anything into a microphone? They just let their work speak for them, and everyone loved them. And I said to everyone, I think these guys are secretly dopes. And then people said to me, what do you mean? Robert De Niro's a genius. Have you not seen Casino? And I go, I think he's an idiot savant. I think he's really good. Not any different than a great athlete. You know what I mean? Like, you are amazing at your sport, or you're amazing guitar player, or you're amazing actor. But does that make you a genius? It does in this one limited realm. Only two guys I ever picked out, because they never really did long-form interviews, was Bruce Springsteen and Robert De Niro. And in the last 5 years, they both started talking, and now they both sound like fucking retards. So I was right all along.
Do you think, Adam, that consistently praising someone for 40 to 50 years will kind of atrophy your cerebral bandwidth there? Or do you think...
I will say that...
Because these are guys that have been lauded.
Right. I think the lauding does it in the sense that this is why these people get torn apart and they won't, but like when these guys debate Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk or somebody of that nature, they always get destroyed because they don't spar.
No, there's zero resistance training.
Right. They have no resistance training. They float in outer space and they atrophy, and they think they have the chops or the muscles, or they think they can get in the ring, and they get dismantled because they don't spar.
Yeah.
The right kind of spars is always in camp and always sparring. The left hives themselves off and they atrophy. But let's hear whatever he had to say, sir.
Minneapolis, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix, Newark, Sunrise, Florida, Austin, Chicago, Atlanta, Belmont, Long Island, Philadelphia, New York, Brooklyn, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Boston, and Washington, D.C. The E Street Band is coming your way, and we are bringing hope over fear, democracy over authoritarianism, the rule of law over lawlessness, ethics over unbridled corruption, unity over division, and peace over Minneapolis.
All right, so they're bringing hope over fear. I always loved it. How is it that you can transport hope? You get that on a... Do you have to check that at the airport? Is that a carry-on? Can you carry on hope? Yes, I know all the politicians are bringing you hope. They're going to fight. They're going to stand up. By the way, when they say lawlessness, they don't mean illegals from Honduras shooting college students in the back. That's not the kind of lawlessness, or people in the streets looting or burning a city to the ground or doing street takeovers. When they say lawlessness, they don't mean that. They mean Trump getting a 4.7 rate on a mortgage loan and using Mar-a-Lago as collateral.
Yeah,
that's the kind of lawlessness he speaks of, not the kind of lawlessness that you think of when you go outside and you see people burning down Apple stores.
Yeah, the democracy over authoritarianism is...
I do love that.
I mean, how many primaries did Kamala win?
Let's see, 0. Oh, yeah. And who's the big guy? And Hunter Biden's on the board of Burisma Energy in Ukraine. Does that make sense? And then you get the Ukrainian DA fired, basically, because you say it won't give him the cash. Yeah, that's no problem there. And you have 100 shell accounts in your grandkids' names. Sleepy Joe. By the way, tickets are start at $2,500. I think, and go up to like $5,000. He's keeping it real, people.
There you go.
The boss is a dope.
That's going to stop him.
Yes. Now, it begs something else, but I'm glad. I like to engage. By the way, general admission, floor, row, whatever, $9,000, $9,600. Holy crap.
That's insane.
All right. So let me say this. It brought on a tweet because I called Springsteen a douche, which he is, but he's just dumb, to be fair. But he's also likes his plaudits from his crowd. It's fine. The other thing that so somebody tweeted me, and they explained that he has more class and grace or something in his pinky finger.
Yeah, you liked it. It's in your like tweets.
I did like it. It's in there. It's in there somewhere. But here's the point, and the reason I'm bringing it up because it's not for nothing. It's in there somewhere, Chuck. I think it was from this morning. All right, so here it is. Bruce. So I say Bruce is a douche. And then he says Bruce has more class and style in his pinky than blowhard President Taco. Are we still going with the Taco? Taco is, he folds or he chickens out or something. I don't know. Isn't he bombing a country right now? But anyway, so Bruce has more class and style in his pinky than Trump, basically. All right. So let me say this. This is a thing, and it's a problem, which is class and style. This is a problem. Bruce does have more class and more style, but his ideas are retarded and would destroy this country if he was in charge. And Obama was nothing but class and style with retarded ideas that would destroy this country. And Biden is class and style with ridiculous ideas about open border and defund the police and all that. Every idea he has is destructive. And Gavin Newsom is the epitome of class and style with horrible policies that are literally destroying California. So yes, Gavin Newsom has a lot more class and style, and so does Barack Obama, than Ron DeSantis. Except for Ron DeSantis has good policies, you assholes. I know you think it's some sort of class and style competition. It's not. It's good policy competition. The class and style. Yes, he's Gavin Newsom's dangerously handsome. That's good for Esquire magazine or Vogue or whatever it is. The state he governs is falling apart, and he has class and style.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, pardon me, but I'd rather a dumpy schlub wearing bad cowboy boots and good policy run California with zero class and zero style. How about that? With like gravy stains on his shirt. Chuck, I would like you in purple ostrich cowboy boots and gravy stains on your shirt and good policy run California rather than a tall, slender guy with great hair who had plenty of class and style run it into the ground with horrific policies. But people on the left, that's why all Hollywood is this way, they're aesthetic. And it's all about the looks and the aesthetic of the person. And that's why Trump drives them insane, because there is no class and there is no style. There's just a bunch of policy.
Yeah. Vote for Chuck.
Vote for Chuck. All right, let's do some news. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. I love me some O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. Oh, man. There are not many car issues I can't figure out, but if I'm stumped, I always go with O'Reilly immediately. They've got thousands of parts in stock, either in store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. They'll also test your battery for free, and if it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right one. They're not all the same. So, whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll see the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are helpful and friendly. O'Reilly is your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself. Am I right, Dawson?
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
At Marathon gas stations, every stop is the start of fun, like the awesome fuel savings you're going to get with Marathon Rewards. Join Marathon Rewards today and start earning rewards on every gallon of gas. You can redeem rewards at any time, saving up to $1 per gallon. Well, that adds up. And don't forget, Marathon stations are packed with all the conveniences you need to stock up on, to live life on the go. Marathon, where the fun runs on full. Available at participating Marathon locations. Terms and conditions apply. See marathonrewards.com for detail.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with this one. This is heartbreaking, man. For two reasons. This is in my hometown of Philadelphia, and my brother is a combat vet. So at the Hands Off Iran rally this past month, well, we had there were some people with some. We'll just let them speak for themselves here. It's a Hands Off Iran rally at Philadelphia City Hall this past month.
Until we have done everything in our power to bring the United States to its knees, let us not lose sight of the enemy. For every U.S. military base that crumbles, and for every U.S. soldier who returns home in a casket, we cheer!
Wonderful.
Hamas, Hezbollah, Ansarallah, all of the resistance forces we celebrate. These popular voices on the ground spend every waking moment in direct confrontation with Zionism, and they rely on a strong Iranian state to maintain their fighting capacity.
Do you hate America? May a Hamas rocket blow up your family's home.
Okay.
All right. Nothing says passion about an issue like reading the entire thing off your phone.
Yeah, you got to be off book. Come on.
You got to get off book.
You can't do it. Like if you're a bridesmaid, maid of honor, you're giving the best speech.
Yes.
Can't read off your phone.
No.
If you're doing hate speech, you got to be memorized. Come on, guys.
I would say more so than the best man's maid of honor bride speech, even the eulogy, you got to get off that phone for hate speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Hate speech is number one. You can't be reading off your phone.
You can't be on. You got to be off prompters, we'd say, because hate speech is supposed to come from the heart. You know, it's the soul kind of thing.
Full chest.
Right. So you reading it off your phone, basically, I don't know. I feel like it hurts your cause. It's also funny that your DA in Philly, Krasner, while these guys are yelling, destroy the United States, he's down at the airport saying he's going to arrest ICE officers.
Yeah.
It's fucking upside down world. It is upside down world. Muslims are your best friends. And your DA, you know what? You know what's funny? Krasner is such a pussy, but he's one of those Soros-elected guys who's soft on crime, and then the city falls apart. It's so funny. If you listen to the first 30 seconds of this, it sounds like he's, for the first time ever, talking tough about crime, except for the only reason he's talking tough is because he's talking about ICE agents and not criminals.
Yeah.
For like a moment you go, oh, some tough crime talk from DA Larry Krasner. Sorry, here it is.
This is how it works. You commit crimes within the jurisdiction that is the city and county of Philadelphia, I prosecute you. That is how it works. No, I don't take a phone call from the president saying let him go. No, the president cannot pardon you. I'll say it again. The president cannot pardon you. And yes, I will put you in handcuffs.
All right, pause it for a second. I'm watching it going, oh, guy's finally getting tough on crime. He's getting tough on crime. He's talking about U.S. Marshals. He's talking about folks with badges who are sworn in who work for this country's security. That's who he's talking about. He's not talking about gangbangers.
No.
He's not talking about illegals shooting college students. He's talking about folks who work for us.
Ugh.
Keep playing it. It's funny.
Yes, I will put you in handcuffs, and I will put you in a courtroom, and if necessary, I will put you in a jail cell. If you decide to make the terrazzo floor of this airport anything like what you did in the streets of Minneapolis, which involved the criminal homicide of unarmed, innocent people.
Well, one guy was armed.
We are not having that.
And one person drove a van at somebody.
Let me go back to all ICE agents.
By the way, you know what I like about these douchebags on the left? If you're driving a 5,000-pound minivan, you're unarmed. But if you're in the Capitol on J6 and you're holding a flagpole made out of birch, you're armed.
Yeah.
Or you're swinging around a helmet, or you have a potted plant. So that is an armed insurrection. But a 5,000-pound minivan that's capable of killing anyone at any time. I don't know. How many people have been run over and killed each year versus conked over the head with a wooden flagpole and killed? I'm going to go significantly higher, run over on the streets.
Yeah.
That's just me. So, unarmed, his version of unarmed, this fucking pussy's version of unarmed, is a guy who's got a gun and a woman who's driving a minivan, which is a weapon, but that's unarmed. Armed is guys at the Capitol with a helmet, a potted plant, and a flagpole. That's his definition of armed. By the way, as a DA, that's his definition of armed at the Capitol, and then unarmed is a guy who is armed and someone else who's driving a vehicle.
Yeah, well, he's gotten better at being a tough-talking guy, because I do remember when he did the, you can get the F out. He took, there was a beat before he didn't say fuck. He said, get the F out. But when it comes to tough-talking officials, he's got to take a page out of Philadelphia former mayor Frank Rizzo's book. I mean, this guy, oh, Jesus, how far we've fallen. If this guy were the mayor...
This is 40 years ago?
This is maybe 40 years ago.
Politicians used to be tough-talking dudes. Here we go.
You're a crumb creep. I want to fight you. You don't have the courage. You're a real crumb bum.
Crumb bum.
Put that on camera. You're a creep. Get away from me.
Well, sir, I'm on the public street. I should be authorized to be here.
I'll break it over your. I'll break it over your head. Get away from me, you crumb.
There is a
You're
out
a
here.
crumb creep coward. I want to fight you.
Why is that?
Because you're a crumb creep lush coward.
You don't even know me, Mayor.
You are a lush. I can tell by looking at you. I was a cop all my life, and I know a lush when I see one, and you're a lush. You're a creep. Get away from me, crumb.
Crumb bum. Well, that's the guy who used to run Philadelphia.
That's the guy that used to run Philadelphia. So I don't know. If you were running it, maybe those guys wouldn't be.
Now we got the deep leg cross with the brooch.
Oh, man.
On. Or just the fat black chicks running everything. Oh, man.
No, I'm a big First Amendment guy. Those guys have their rights to say whatever the fuck they want to say. But I think if you're going to go to City Hall and say shit like that, you can't wear the mask.
Oh, yeah.
You got to.
Let me tell you something. This whole COVID, okay, listen how fucking dumb we are. The mask did nothing, proved ineffective, helped nothing, did nothing for COVID, except for it gives every single person excuse now to mask up before they commit any kind of crime anywhere in the country.
Or say wild shit.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank
total
you. Right. The
license
hood,
to steal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Nice job, idiots, with your stupid mask shit. All right, what else we got?
Well, speaking of pro-Iranian material, the Iranian social media posted it's an AI-generated video, just a propaganda promoting future strikes against the United States. This is pretty wild, but I think you'd like it, Adam.
Okay.
So it's all about revenge against wronged cultures and societies.
Pause it there. Hiroshima. Oh, we bombed. Can you guys fuck right off with Hiroshima and Nagasaki? You could have surrendered, Japan. You could have surrendered, but you did not. And you could have not bombed Pearl Harbor, but you couldn't stop yourself. And now you got a fucking atomic bomb because we're smarter than you. So fuck right off. And number two, you guys set off incendiary bombs to try to burn down the Pacific Northwest. If you had an atomic bomb, Japan, you would have lit it. You would have dropped it in the middle of Manhattan with no notice. So fuck right off. Go ahead. Vietnam, right? You guys are going communist. Yemen.
The Houthis.
Okay. You guys are all worried. Palestine and Gaza. Yeah, if you guys weren't anti-Semitic nut jobs, you could live. Oh, Epstein Island. Yeah, young girl on Epstein Island.
It's total revenge.
I know.
Keep going.
Iran. You guys don't have to be state sponsors of terror. I know. There's a Ayatollah. It's all they have is a fucking cartoon. It's a good thing they have a retarded religion. They blew up here's the good news. Okay. It's like the Germans ran off the Jews and then we got a rocket program out of it. In a way, it's a good thing that they all belong to a retarded religion because their society is so fucked up that they cannot make a missile that would reach us, or they can't defend us from destroying them before they make that missile. In a way, it's kind of a blessing that they have a shit religion because it prevents them scientifically from doing shit that would work against us.
Did you notice that the Statue of Liberty was actually Baphomet?
Yeah, was that the goat with the horns?
That's it. Well, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's a big victory for you guys. This is as effective as the artist's rendition of the bullet train. You know, they go, hey, folks, look what we're going to do. Like, yeah, you got nothing. Yeah, but this is what we think it should look like in our head. I know, but you don't have anything. Well, let's go down to the 6th Street Bridge and show us the artist's rendition of that. See, in reality, you got gangbangers doing donuts and dodges on there and other homeless guys pulling copper out of the streetlights and graffiti. But according to our drawing, there's happy people and the band Chicago's playing and there's ice cream vendors and folks are walking with balloons. That's a drawing that you guys make because you cannot create the reality of it. So all you have is a fake drawing. You have an artist's rendition of what you would like your world to look like, except for the reality is a train driving through a pile of garbage in Los Angeles because people loot the boxes off the train. Yeah, that's the reality of what you have. You don't have anything. So you don't have a missile. You don't have this ability. You can't do shit. You have a backwards, fucked up culture, and that's why you don't have any good stuff. Yeah, but that's good because we can bomb the shit out of you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I will say this. That's a pretty cohesive social media strategy compared to our governor, who is now getting slammed for yet another problematic tweet. I mean, earlier this week, he compared himself. He basically posted a, don't I look like Christian Bale? Mm-hmm. And now he is, he's calling Benny Johnson. Well, just take a look at this tweet here. So Benny Johnson is calling out Governor Newsom for fraud investigations, and his press office says, we got a call from Grindr after this, and they said your team was their biggest users. Congrats.
Right.
So he's basically calling Benny Johnson, he's calling him a homophobic. This is a homophobic insult.
Yes, he's saying he's gay, and that means he's bad. Yeah. So that means gay people are bad. So why would Gavin Newsom in California, who's pro-gay marriage, talk about gay people being bad? It's always funny when people do that. They go, I didn't mean that. Look, I said that mountain bike was gay, and I didn't mean gay like slept with dudes. I meant like lame. It's like, well, that's even worse. Now you're just saying gay is lame. He's basically saying gay is bad. So nice job, Gavin. Also, people pointing out fraud in your state, while I get that it's a little bit humbling, should not make you angry. It should make you want to fix the fraud. These guys, it's so telling that they get angry at the people that uncover the fraud.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing they do. It's like some Honduran illegal who should never be in this country shoots some 18-year-old in the back, and then Trump sends a tweet out, and they go, look at him politicizing this. Okay, you should be looking at the criminal who's shooting the 18-year-old in the back instead of worrying about Trump. Maybe Trump is politicizing it.
Yeah.
It's still in your city, and you're still letting it happen. And maybe all these guys hate Newsom, and they do hate Newsom, but it's still fraud, and it's still in your city. Now, go ahead and debunk it.
Yeah.
Then just go ahead and say these guys are liars. My team looked into it. None of this exists. They never say that. They just yell at the person that's exposing. This is like yelling at an oncologist for telling you have brain cancer.
Yeah. Also, why are you taking phone calls from Grindr, man? You got to rebuild Malibu. You were on the phone with him like you were on the phone with Biden and that lady in the Palisades. It's the same thing.
All right. He's fucking retarded. All right. April, Salt Lake City, Utah. Wise guys out there, April 10th and 11th. Couple of shows Friday, couple of shows Saturday. Heading out to San Diego to Solana Beach at the Belly Up after that on the 12th. You can go down to Carolla.com for all the live shows. Chloe Cole, everybody. Her website is CHOOCOLE. Okay, you can. I hope so. There's 3 O's in there.
Let me take a look.
Seems weird. All right. Yep.
It's probably
3 O's.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
That's what
Check
we got.
that out. And Andrew, nice job. Until next time, Sam for Andrew and Chloe saying mahalo. Thanks for tuning into the Adam Carolla Show. You can watch the full show on YouTube. Just search Adam Carolla Show and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also get the podcast wherever you like to listen. And for extra content, ad-free episodes, and more, you can head over to our Substack and sign up today.
What is the mystique about beating the other guy, about winning? whatever it is, it's a mystique that's held in high reverence by people in racing.
March 22nd, join the Adam Carolla Show for a live podcast celebrating the legendary racing legacy of Paul Newman.
You can drive hard, and you're not going to win any races. The only way that you're ever going to win a race is just to be right on the edge of it all the time.
Come see Adam Carolla's collection of Paul Newman's championship-winning race cars, authentic race memorabilia, special guest interviews, and an audience Q&A.
If you see anything, kid, you let us know.
Sunday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. at the Jordan Family Event Center in Orange County.
If they put you on the spot, we got to fold the con.
VIP packages are available with early access, meet and greet, and premium seating.
Take it easy, kid. We're not going to lose him now. We had him 10 years ago when he decided to be somebody.
The Adam Carolla Show celebrates the Paul Newman Race Car Collection.
Yeah, fine.
Sunday, March 22nd at the Jordan Family Event Center. Get your tickets now at adamcarolla.com.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. They're going to mandate you get it on. Welcome to the star of Down Periscope, Rob Schneider.
Yeah, man. Oh, come on. That was a fun one, man. That's back when you could make movies that were fun. I mean, I literally
saw it in the theater. No, I know exactly where I was.
Yeah?
Yeah. Saw it alone. Saw it in the theater. Was working for K-Rock. I started doing like movie reviews. And that movie must have been late 94, early 95.
95, yeah.
95. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I never want to go to a movie alone, but when you review movies, you just have to go alone because you got a job to do. And you kind of, you get more out of them. You kind of remember more.
I think so. You know, I remember like the first show I had to go
Grammer.
see. I had to go see Meaning of Life because Monty Python. Yeah, I had to go. And there was only 2 people at the 12 o'clock show in San Francisco on the Friday to see it, and it was me and the guy laughing in the very last row. It was like, and I went, oh, that's Robin back there.
Oh, really?
So it was Robin like, you know, at the 11:30 a.m. show.
What were you doing back then?
Okay, this must have been 82. So, I mean, literally at 16, I remember at 15, I told my dad, I said, you know, there's a comedy club in San Francisco, and they'll let anybody on Monday nights if you sign up. And he said 2 words, let's go.
Really?
And so he took me there, and I had like my trombone. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, you know, it's just embarrassing having, you know, for drunk people to be around children. But then I knew. I said, okay, all right, I'm too young for this. But at 16, I started to go a little bit more. 17, 8. By the time I was, 18, 19, I was in.
And your dad was supportive.
My mom thought I was a loser because she was a teacher. Robert, what do you need something to fall back on? What if this doesn't work out, Robert? I don't know anyone who does it. But my dad, he loved comedy. He had comedy albums.
It's kind of weird because immigrant moms and or dads come here thinking you've got to focus on education. You've got to get a nice job as a dental assistant or a nurse or something. And what they don't really realize is they're missing the whole essence of what the United States is. Like, no, you go to your country to be a nurse. You come here to be a comedian, a dancer.
That's the thing. It was so
transsexual. Like, you come here to realize your dreams, not to do shit in a uniform.
Your parents came here to give you the opportunity to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
Because like the Koreans were the ones that were the most frustrated, I felt like, more than the Filipinos. Because the Filipinos are more open because they assimilated and they knew English back in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. And so the Koreans were the ones who came over here who worked 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. And then they have the relatives come and stay for years. I remember I had friends of mine, they lived, because we had relatives coming in from Manila. They would stay for a few months, 6 months the most. Uh-huh. Then they get their own place. There they had their relatives, their first cousins, stay for 10 years. So that was a sacrifice. And then they open up their own Kentucky Fried Chicken or a dry cleaner. and then the kids don't have the same work ethic, and it drives them nuts, the parents.
Right. The kids, I mean, the work ethic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids, how would one develop a motor if one did not need a motor? Like, if you have to really break it down, it's not even their fault. It's literally like, you may blame this community for taking free money from the government, but you set that
Exactly,
up, and now you're enticing them, and you're like, why are you having kids out of wedlock? Because I get paid because you enticed me to do this. You incentivized me to do this. So, the kids of the celebrity, it's always, the kids of the celebrities are always a big fat disappointment. And by the biggest disappointment is when two celebrities shit out a kid. And now you're like, oh.
That's why, when I think of
Brinkley and Billy Joel, and that's all we got.
That's why I think, when I think of the Somalians coming here and stealing from us, I think of what an amazing country this is where somebody can come and do that. Because they're just trying to survive over there in Somalia, but they know if they can get here to Minnesota, probably the dumbest of any state, the most gullible of all people. Oh yeah, okay, sure, you can come do that. And why wouldn't they try to take every dime and every penny from these stupid people?
Well, also, how rich a country must you be in order for people to embezzle billions of dollars and we don't notice it? Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's success.
If your daughter is ordering Nobu on Grubhub 3 times a day and you don't notice it, it means you're fucking rich. Like, good news is we must be rich because we somehow can take millions of dollars and just chuck it out of a window and nobody knows and nobody cares.
Right. I mean, and if it wasn't discovered, it would have kept going on, and it really wouldn't have made that big a difference.
No, I agree. It is funny when they get angry at the people who discovered it. Oh, yeah. I enjoy that.
When you see them at the airport and they have 800,000, that was my money. No, I took this. No, I earned this money. I stole it properly from you stupid people here in Minnesota.
They are bringing suitcases with millions of dollars in it out of the airport in Minneapolis constantly for years. And nobody said anything. A few people said a few things, but they didn't listen because their constituency is that group.
Yeah.
This whole thing of let's not anger the criminals is kind of a weird, it's a weird position to be in. It's like, who votes for you? Illegals, criminals, felons, and people that are ripping off the government. Yeah. All right, well, let's not anger them. Yeah. Well, what would anger them? I don't know, enforcement of our laws? Okay, well, we're not getting on the wrong side of the people who vote for us.
Well, what you're opening up is a chasm here, and what you're really saying is that there are people that this society is particularly susceptible to bad faith actors, for people to come in without the best intentions and to abuse the system that has afforded them these incredible freedoms and luxuries. I mean, the thing about this country is, if you get in, whew, you are lucky. If you become an American citizen, it is incredible. However, if you come in with the bad intentions, or you come in here and you realize there's a system that you could really corrupt and that could be corrupted to benefit you, but it's doesn't seem that difficult. These don't seem to be like highly educated people who are able to figure out the system.
Right. Yes, it ain't Tom Cruise coming from the ceiling on a wire.
They're filling out forms.
Well, I mean, when they go to these places, strip malls with 15 learning centers in the same building, and there's the place is a hospice, but it's a mop closet, and there's nobody ever there. Like it is all you would have to do. Yeah. Is put a very minimum amount of effort into discovering this stuff, and it's very accessible, like super easy. Like the guy who blew the lid off the whole thing, Nick. That guy doesn't even have 2 microphones. He has to hold a lab and then hold the other one. Like, that guy went down to fucking Radio Shack and spent $28. He does not even have a second microphone. He has an iPhone 9 and 1 microphone that he clips off his lapel and then holds it at the guy. The guy probably thinks he's talking to a dead mouse or something. And that's it. He was able to undo the whole thing.
Yeah, and the career of Tim Walz collapsed right after that. Yeah, the Democratic Party just doesn't consider any repercussions or any downfall to just no matter what it takes just to maintain power. And it really is, it's sad because you would think, because we only get 2 political parties, we don't get 10. You would think we would need 2 normal political parties, and truthfully, we don't have any. And the Democratic leadership to not come out and at least, that was the thing that really bothered me a lot, was when things were exposed during COVID, when the censorship regime, it said, yes, the government, the first thing, within the first 24 hours, they censored Bobby Kennedy. That was like the first thing. Before they did anything, before they opened up the borders to a lot of millions of people, the first thing they did was to contact Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, and before Meta, and Facebook, and say, listen, you can't let this guy talk and blah, 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 and this, but you have to censor these people. Almost pretty much that bold. And when this is exposed, instead of the Democrats saying, you know what, that's wrong, we shouldn't do that, they were like, no, they just attacked the investigators, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, who just, had free reign to come up to whatever conclusions they wanted. And that was like, wow, they won't even admit it when it's in their face. It's the same thing like the Nazis at the end in the bunker with these imaginary armies that they say, well, Herr Hitler, we could have these troops come in. And of course, it was all lies at that point.
Right.
That's what I think the Democratic Party, it's all lies and subterfuge, and it's all, and they're just dealing with armies and things and unreality that just doesn't only exist in their head. And it's just, at what point do you continue to go, I'm going to keep following these guys because they know what they're doing?
Oh, I don't think anyone says because they know what they're doing. They just voted that way. And they're basically the same thing with voting Democrat as they are with COVID. Nobody has ever apologized.
Yeah.
And as I tweeted to somebody, they're like showing Deborah Marks or whoever it was who was lying about COVID. And they said they never punish anyone. I said the only people that ever got punished were the ones who called out the liars. They got punished. Nobody else has been punished. They're not great at admitting they were wrong about stuff. And the problem with apologizing for COVID is once you start realizing maybe I was wrong about something that's huge, well, then maybe you're wrong about other stuff. Maybe you're wrong about Trump, and maybe you're wrong about Pete Hegseth, or like maybe you're wrong about Kennedy Jr. Once you open the door to you being wrong,
it's a house of cards. It all collapses.
Well, it can. Or you can be wrong in a vacuum, or there could be a whole bunch of shit you're wrong about.
That's what has to happen, though. The house of cards has to collapse because there's been no correction from the Democrats. There's been no correction. There's been, of course, no one prosecuted. There's been no one even brought up on criminal charges for any of this stuff. And what has to happen is you have to have what I think could happen now. The last time we had three presidents that did not have successive terms. If you think about that. You go from Nixon, didn't complete his second term, and then Ford, Carter. Mm-hmm. Those are three. One single term.
Right.
And then what did it lead to? You had two Reagans and one Bush. So here's what we had. You have a Trump, Biden, Trump. And if history does anything, it likes to repeat itself. So I think you could have the back end of that, which is one Trump, two Vances, or hopefully Rubio. And then there's going to have to be a real course correction. Because when the Democrats do get their asses kicked enough, then they go, you know what? We are the pro-death penalty.
Right.
Remember, they're like, these are super predators. We need to go after We are pro-death penalty Democrats, and they had to adjust. And the only reason really Clinton even won is because of the third-party candidate Ross Perot.
Yeah, well, the thing that I always find super interesting is when people flip-flop on a subject as an adult. Like, I mean, the
Okay.
joke I always kind of make is Joe Biden. There's stuff from him from the 90s or 2001 saying no gay marriage or super predators or whatever. Take these drug dealers and lock them up and throw away a key. And then I always go, you have to understand he was a fresh-faced, bright-eyed 62-year-old, like at the time, because it's true. Like, you can be wrong about shit
naive.
you were in college, right? You're so young, so naive, such an idealist, fresh. I mean, honestly, it's one thing to go, look, when I was 19, I smoked a lot of pot, and I was a big Fidel Castro fan, and I got the Che Guevara shirt, and I was kind of fucking out of my mind, and now I look back, and I'm like kind of embarrassed. Now I'm in my 40s, and I look back. Yeah. These guys, Kamala Harris is flip-flopping on shit she did in her early 50s.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Remember Dennis Haysbert? You know, he got caught. This is during the Clinton fiasco when he was brought up for impeachment charges for lying, you know, about the intern. Dennis Haysbert, he got exposed for cheating the former Speaker of the House, Republican, and he said, "I did something I did in my youth. I was 41.
Right.
My youth.
Right.
I was barely a child, just out of college by 20 years."
Right. So it is. I'm always dubious when somebody changes their mind about something when they're fully formed adults.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, what do you think you've changed your mind on, if anything, as an adult?
Wow. I think realizing that that everything is captured. Mm-hmm. There's a captured media, and yet I'm talking. Our media is obviously captured. Our government is captured by industry, and our political parties, the two political parties, are completely captured. And this was the medical pharma just owns the biggest. You know, I've learned that through the years. They're the biggest contributors to not just federal politicians, but state politicians. Everything's captured, and yet we're the freest country in the world. Can you imagine a country that has no freedoms at all? At least we can talk about it, and thankfully for a freedom of speech, we do have a chance to redress our grievances. However, here you have something like, why can't we get, when 84% of the American public wants to put the Save America Act, which is basically only Americans can vote, and they even in a Republican-controlled Congress can't get it through. So you know, there's just nothing we can do at this point. You realize, but yet at the same time, this is still the greatest. Everything's captured. Universities are captured. The academia is nuts, and you have so, and yet this is the freest country. Can you imagine? Is that something new that's happened, or is this something that's always been and I just never noticed it?
I gotta believe it's newer, but always existed.
Yeah. Was it just exposed, though, because of COVID that you realized? Because during COVID, you realized everything's a lie. Everyone's lying. Everyone's in on it. And very few people at the time, you were one, were calling bullshit on this. But that's when you kind of realized, I think the veil was lifted and you saw the great Oz behind the curtain shifting the thumb.
Well, there are little indicators that'll be helpful. Like if people are listening and they're just trying to unearth the truth or find that sweet spot where the truth lies, there's a couple things. If you want to know who to believe and who not to believe, like if you have people sort of saying, if people are agnostic about things, like you say, did COVID originate in a wet market or in a lab? And someone goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense it was from a lab, since that lab experiments with those types of diseases or viruses, but maybe it came from a pangolin. I don't know. Then I would tend to believe that guy. Yeah. When that guy goes, listen, it definitely came from a lab, it definitely came from a pangolin, and it came from a wet market, and it never came from a lab. And by the way, I want you thrown off the internet for even suggesting that it might have come from a lab. Now I don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
You guys knew ivermectin was horse paste or didn't work. You knew all this stuff immediately. How would you know? And how come more people weren't agnostic? And how come Sanjay Gupta would go, listen, I don't know, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, talk to your doctor.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we don't know. It's called a novel virus. How would we know if it works or not? Why don't you try it out? And by the way, it's both of them, ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine is safe. There's a lot of people that are on it. So go ahead and try it out. We never did. It was horse paste. So that's how you know that guy's lying, right? And when Fauci, you got to get just I went on a tirade about Fauci when he had Jim Jordan questioning him about Black Lives Matter, and I just yelled to everyone. It was a weird thing. I just went, "This guy's corrupted. We don't need to listen to him anymore."
Yeah.
And everyone kind of looked at me and they went, "That's Dr. Fauci." And I said, "Yeah, but he's corrupted. Watch the tape. Watch the tape." And they went, But he's why?" And I go, "Don't you see what I'm seeing? He's been corrupted. He's been adulterated."
Well, that's what happens. I think what you're talking about. First of all, I just remember when the NBC News guy, who's the guy, the black anchor that was on a few years back on NBC.
Yes, I'll think of it in a second.
But now when Trump was meeting with Putin. And Trump made a statement.
Lester Holt,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Trump made a statement, and then you cut back to Lester Holt, and this was something new that I had not seen before, where Lester Holt shook his head like, "Can you believe that crap?" It's like, why are you tipping off the audience how to think? Lester Holt, they said, "This is no longer objective news," and that's when the objectivity in newscasts just fell off the cliff.
Right. So when you hear and see little things like when they'll go, AOC says she spoke to the chupacabra. And then they'll go, Donald Trump falsely says the election was rigged. It's like, no. Donald Trump says the election was rigged. That's his statement.
Yeah.
You don't have to add the falsely because the statement is the election was rigged. And the statement was, I spoke to the chupacabra. But you don't have to add falsely. That's her statement. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
So when they start adding the commentary, that's when you know.
But that's why, it's so egregious now that, CNN had to retract their statement from the other day when, two teenagers, I'm sure you must have talked about this, two teenagers stroll into Manhattan on a warm day, not knowing that...
Only to have their afternoon interrupted by chucking bombs.
Isn't that unbelievable? That is it. If you did that on Saturday Night Live, they go, okay, that's kind of a mildly funny sketch. But the fact that that's a news organization, and thankfully they got called out on it.
Oh, yeah, that's the New World Order. I have no idea why they're doing this to their business, though. Somebody has to get hold of this guy.
Because it's not a business.
I guess not.
For them, it's not a business. To me, it seems like trying to... For what you're describing about, people not being able to see that Fauci was a con man and a liar who managed to just survive and causing the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people during the AIDS epidemic, at least 100,000, is they weren't able to see it because, again, it's these people coming in with bad faith into, or whether it's a country like the United States coming into here to destroy this or steal as much as they can from a pirate culture like Somalia. And it is, if you listen to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, she'll tell you this is a pirate culture. And they're going to come in and take whatever they can because of, stupid people in Minnesota.
Here, I'll tell you another tell, and then I'll play this Fauci clip because you'll get it when you hear it. There's a couple of tells. It's not being agnostic, like just literally going, I don't know if that medication will work. Try it. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know the origin of COVID. It makes sense it's from the lab, but I don't know. When they all of a sudden don't know stuff and they formerly knew everything. So it's like when they said to Fauci, what about natural immunity? It's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's like, oh, you don't know anything because you knew everything about this, but now you don't know anything.
Yeah,
now you're lying. So listen to him. What is this from, by the way? What year? I remember going to the airport after this and yelling at everyone in the car what was going on. But this is July 2020. And Fauci, this is early.
Yeah.
And this is Fauci being confused.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, that number of people, does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we
All right,
say
hold on.
limit?
Okay, first thing, I'm dumb. What do you mean? how do we limit? You shut down every church. You shut down every school. You shut down the beaches.
Yeah.
You shut everything down. What do you mean, how do we limit? You took bulldozers and you scooped sand into skate parks and you tore down the beach volleyball nets. You cut down the beach volleyball nets and you welded pipes over basketball hoops at the park.
And you covered nets around swing sets.
And you arrested a guy who was paddleboarding in the bay. So what do you mean, how do we police this? You do it by what you've just got done doing this, Fauci. But anyway, he's confused. Yeah. He's just a humble caveman lawyer.
And he said masked.
Masked. Yeah, I did say masked. It was funny. O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. What business are they in? They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and all the knowledge you need. If I can't figure something out, if I'm having an issue, it's always my first stop. They have thousands of parts in stock and can test your battery for free. Need wipers, brake light, or a quick fix? They get you the right part right away. And you can go online, but I like to go in the store. Everyone who works there is knowledgeable. They're friendly. They're professional parts people. And that's your one-stop shop if you're a DIY guy like I am. But you can go online or you can visit them in store. They're the same friendly, helpful people, and they'll have what you need. It is O'Reilly Auto Parts, right, Dawson?
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
You swear?
If I'm lying, I'm dying.
This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra. Free. This is the mindset.
With movies like Interstellar, Dreamgirls, and Gladiator.
Are you not entertained?
And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to.
Well,
you just said it increased.
Well, it's not relevant. You just said groups were spreading this disease. You shut down schools and churches. You shut down restaurants and beaches. So what do you mean you don't know what he means?
Yeah. He wasn't briefed on this to what to say.
Right. Yes.
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Oh, by the way, that's all he does. All he's been doing is making proclamations about what you can do for Thanksgiving and what you can do. You know, go eat in your yard. You know what I mean? Use a T-shirt cannon to pass the potatoes to your grandmothers at the end of the table. Like, are you fucking nuts? So all of a sudden, he's in no position to give any advice on COVID safety.
I know, it's maddening. And it makes me so angry because my mother passed away during COVID in 1991 in January. And they said, and it was in California, of course, and they're like, no, well, you can't have...
Wait a minute, you just said 1991.
I'm sorry, 2000, I'm sorry, 2021.
Okay, good. Sorry for laughing. Sorry. That was a joke.
No, 2021, and that was, hot COVID at the time, and they said, you can't have a funeral. Right. And I was like, fuck this.
Right.
We're having a funeral for my mother, and if people want to show up, we'll do it outside, but we're having one. And you try to stop me. And that's what I told the funeral home, and that's what I told the cemetery we're having one. And if you're not going to provide the chairs, I'll bring my own chairs. Right. And if you don't want to provide anything, you don't have to provide anything. It's my mother, and I paid for that casket, and we're going to have it outside, and I'm going to have chairs, I'm going to have flowers, I'm going to have musicians, and we're going to have my mother exit this place in a beautiful way, as dignified as what is required for our loved ones. And the fact that they didn't want to have that, I had it anyway. But it was interesting because one of the weird flukes that happens in life is that I became friends with this guy, and I didn't say his name in the book because he worked. He's a brilliant doctor, Dr. David Klonoff, and I think I could say it now. He was working at NIH. One of the guys was working, hired by the government. He's a professor of medicine. And like I said, he didn't put it in the book. And he said, July 3rd, 2020. I said, what's going on really? Mm-hmm. This is 2020, early, around the same time, maybe a week or two before this. And he said to me, receptor 26 looks a little sticky, but don't quote me. Because he was saying that this is man-made, that this seems manipulated.
Yeah.
And that's his way of saying it. And, and I'm a layman. What do I know? But I knew enough to know that means it's man-made. And he said, don't quote me because what happened was if you told the truth back then, they'll ruin your career.
I know.
And that's why, David Klon, a great man, and at the time he knew that he couldn't, and, he's working for the government at the time and trying to figure this thing out. And then, but can you imagine, this is a guy, one of the most smartest guys, this is a guy who, the foremost leading authority on diabetes in the world. These guys helped design, artificial pancreas. This guy's a genius. Mm-hmm. And they're stifling geniuses. Yeah. This is where this asshole, Fauci, was at the top of this thing, squelching any truth coming out.
Oh, there's emails of him saying silence people. All right, well, listen, go back 10 seconds. But listen, this is July 2020. Listen to Fauci lying.
Protesting. Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to...
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything you can imagine. I'm just asking, you just said that protests increase the spread. I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you...
Government stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said, there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting,
by the way, can you
over
pause
another?
It for a second? I've said this a million times. I know it sounds a little convenient, but you go, look, Rob, you think this way, and Adam thinks the same way you think, and then this guy's on that side of the aisle, and everyone has their side, and
this
he's
isn't
a Democrat,
about sides.
it's fine. Right, but I'm going to say this. You can say whatever you want about Jim Jordan. He's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And he's asking questions. And then you go to the other side and you get Mazie Hirono. And she's like, Dr. Fauci, isn't it good? Do you like pineapple? I do. No fur. I yield my time. Like AOC, half the people on the left are fucking retarded.
Yeah,
like you're having trouble forming sentences.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever you want about Cotton or Jim Jordan or whoever these guys are, but they're fucking sharp.
Yes, and you know what? As a matter of fact, he's circling in literally like a very good attorney.
Right.
Circling in to find the truth and to expose someone who's clearly lying and clearly being evasive. And inconsistent in his dogma.
Well, we'll continue on.
Miss Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask.
He wouldn't say limit protests. So what do you mean you don't judge one crowd versus another crowd? You just did that. You would not judge the BLM protest. You were asked to, but you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, for 63 days, 9 weeks, it's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured. But no limit to protests. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, but I've never
This
said
is something that directly impacts the spread of the virus, and I'm asking your position on the protest.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger. And you can make your own conclusion about that. You should stay away from crap.
By the way, hold on a second. If this guy wasn't corrupted and had a fucking shred of dignity and wasn't a liar, he would just go, yeah, no Black Lives Matter rallies and no Christian faith rallies and no KKKs through marching in the street. No any of it.
Right. Well,
the virus doesn't know if you're racist or you're pro BLM or you're gay. You have a gay flag. Yeah, it's all bad.
It was a political.
Just say it.
It was all politics with these assholes.
That whole point is he's covered because he's allowed to say, I will shut down the Pittsburgh Steelers bar and I'll shut down the gay bar. And I'll shut down the church, and I'll shut down the liquor store. Like I'll just, it's all bad.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're a Raiders fan or a Rams fan. Both games are canceled. Like that's what he could have said, but he wouldn't do it. He circled and circled and circled, but he was so scared of getting into trouble with his BLM masters. Yeah. By the way, what the fuck's BLM have to do with COVID anyway? It has everything to do with COVID if you're corrupted like he was.
He was, but the idea was to take down Trump at that time. Anything to take down Trump, and that was part of it, and he was part of it. He cornered Trump, and they all lied to him. It was Burks, and it was him, and it was Redfield, and they basically said, like, if you don't, 4 million Americans will die, and you'll be known as the plague president, blah, 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 if you don't shut down the country. And, and shutting down the country for 2 weeks was just, getting their toe in the door to tyranny. And they meant to keep it as long as they could keep it until everybody got the experimental gene therapy. And it's just it was one of those things that happened, but how do Democrats not see it? And the only way I could describe it is I remember there's a story from Alan Watts. He was talking about the shaman because there was something so outside of their ability when the conquistadors came to the New World that literally it was unimaginable to them. That's why I see the Democratic Party. It's unimaginable to see this gigantic corruption and these morons for what they are, and that the system is completely filled with lies. It's the same thing when the shaman had to come out and explain in the language of their own tribesmen to get them to visualize and see something as big as like this boat with these sails and these conquistadors. Because they couldn't imagine it.
Right. It's interesting. I love it when they tell both stories. So he's talking about shutting down all events and ball games and sporting events and churches and beaches, and then simultaneously saying, I have no opinion on a huge Black Lives rally.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's it. The thing that's going on now, which is kind of interesting, is it's been months and months and months of Trump is a rogue dictator. He doesn't answer anyone. He does whatever he wants. He runs roughshod over the Constitution, and he bullies everyone, and he just is a tyrannical dictator who dances to the beat of his own drum and does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Now we're right into he's Netanyahu's puppet and he's Putin's puppet. So the same people that are explaining that he's a dictator that makes all his own rules is now explaining that Putin and Netanyahu have him by the short hairs and he's doing their bidding.
I know.
So which is it? Is he the guy who's doing their bidding, or is it the guy who's doing his own dictator stuff rogue?
I think it's the fact that they ignore evidence to the contrary, and that's how they proceed. Any evidence to the contrary, they just gently put aside, just like you saw with Fauci. It's the same ideology. It's continuing. Like, for instance, when Trump does want to put something through, if a district court judge stops it, he stops it. And then Trump stops, and he waits until he works its way up to the next, whether it's the appellate court or the hopefully, and then eventually the Supreme Court. He does wait. He does stop whatever is happening, whether it's that guy that they were kicking out of the country who was a human trafficker. He did stop, and they kicked him out of the country.
He's a Maryland man, Rob. He's a man from Maryland.
And he was in the detentions, and then the court ordered him back into the country, so they flew him back, and of course the Murphy, the moron senator from Connecticut, like he goes and has lunch with this human trafficker. It's just insane. I just don't know how crazier it could get if this wasn't a still somewhat free country.
Well, it is insane that every one of their heroes is essentially a criminal or an illegal. Like, it really is. Like, Michael Brown is a gentle giant, hands up. The George Floyd, Kilmer, all these guys. Like, is there one fucking decent person that you guys can put up on a poster?
Yeah.
You've been pushed into this insane position where you have to defend. It'd be like me going, look, I'm a white guy, I'm Italian, I got to stand up for Joey Buttafuoco. And it's like, no, you don't. But I love cars. But you don't. But you don't have to stand up for the guy. They have to they're all in the rotunda taking a knee for George Floyd, the career criminal. You know what I mean? Like
Drug addict,
yes, they got fucking duped into this stuff, and now it's insane. And they're in this weird position of having to defend illegal criminals now.
Yeah, that's all they've got. Well, that's what they have at this point. They had a perfect guy who's a police officer jumping over a fence. That's the guy that the Democrats can go, hey, he's our guy.
Right.
But they won't because, well, he's a Christian for one thing, and he's a police officer, and we need to defund the police officers. And God forbid, if he was a Muslim and he was a guy, who was also throwing one of the bombs, they could get behind it. I just don't know how you can not see it. I don't know how.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things.
Is it hypnosis of some sort?
There's a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you like little simple things.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk. I've had this conversation with some of my more progressive friends.
Mm-hmm.
They go, well, it's actually, you know what? Rob Reiner sort of says it all on Bill Maher, the late, great Rob Reiner. And that's a clip we've shown a few times. But
what's the gist of it? I remember seeing it on your show.
Bill Maher was like, well, there's Hunter Biden's laptop. And, that turned out to be true. And Rob Reiner's like, we don't know that's true. And it's like, well, yeah, it's an article in the New York Times. He's like, I don't know it's true. Do you know it's true? Ask one of your progressive buddies about a white guy that got gunned down by cops, and they'll never know the story. They'll never be familiar with it. They'll never have heard of it. They don't know the guy's name.
Yeah.
They literally do not hear. A lot of it is they physically don't hear any of this stuff.
Yeah.
They don't spread around. If you are conservative, you are exposed to the left because, as I tell people all the time, they go, well, everyone's hived off. There's Fox people over there and CNN. I go, CNN is on the television of every monitor in the airport.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you never see CNN? I go to the airport, I sit down at the bar, I stare at CNN. That's it. I'd like them to change it, but they don't. So what do you mean? No, I know everything they're saying. They've never heard of any of this other shit.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's an echo chamber that
the late great. He's on with Amy Klobuchar as a dope.
Yeah.
She's great. Her little tactic is fun. I love everyone's sort of lying in real time. But Rob Reiner, who I adore, is now, listen what he says here.
They were talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, which was a story, and now all the mainstream press has finally admitted it was a real story. It was a real laptop with. Now look, let's not pussyfoot around this. He was selling the influence of his father, Joe Biden. I mean, let's not pretend that at least wasn't going on. I mean, some guy from China gave him after a dinner an $80,000 diamond after dinner, as one does.
Yeah.
if you're Naomi Campbell, but it doesn't usually happen. Okay, so Hunter Biden's laptop was buried by the press. Even the head of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, said that was a mistake. Sam Harris says it was appropriate for Twitter and the heads of big tech and the heads of journalistic organizations to feel that they were in the presence of something that is a once-in-a-lifetime moral emergency, meaning Trump. So he's saying it's okay to have a conspiracy to get rid of somebody as bad as Trump. It's a little bit of a thorny question because once you go down this road, this is sort of where we are in this country. The other side is so evil, anything is justified in preventing them from taking office. Is it?
No. You know what's not justified? Using armed violence to try to kill people in the Capitol.
Okay, that's all right. So change the subject. Nobody was armed. No one tried to kill anybody. Well, somebody got killed. Yeah. But no, this is not the right. You can play the clip out. It's not the one we have in our computer. But
you get the point, though. It's they.
No, there's a part he doesn't know. You'll see it. I don't know where. You can play this one out.
But in his own political echo chamber, it's more than just, you're saying it's more than just a political echo chamber. They're saying when they hear the news, they don't hear it. They can't imagine it.
Many people on the left who I speak to have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you bring up subjects or names or something.
Evidence.
Evidence. Like you bring stuff up. They don't know, and they think you got that because Sean Hannity sent you a text or something like that.
Is it the same thing as the people taking advantage of the very vulnerable, gullible people in Minnesota, the Somalians taking advantage? I think the Democratic Party is taking advantage of these gullible people as well.
I agree.
It's the same thing.
Where is that clip there, Dawson? It's driving me nuts because we used to have it. We played it on our computer.
I can't wait for the press to start washing down the idea of this new shooter trying to break into a school in Michigan. And they're going to water that down, and they're not going to say that was an Islamic terrorist. His name, of course, is Muhammad.
Here we go, sir.
This road. This is sort of where we are in this country. The other side is so evil, anything is justified in preventing them from taking office. Is it?
No. You know what's not justified? Using armed violence to try to kill people in the Capitol. That's not justified.
Answer this question. Answer this question.
What is
was
the
it
question?
Appropriate? The question is, was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't follow this.
Saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, then you would know about this.
I do know about that.
Well, you're acting like you know.
I do know about that, and I do watch Fox. But the point is, we're going to prove now that the press tried to.
They're admitting it.
The press is admitting it.
Yes, that's not even an issue anymore.
It's so sweet.
All right, pause. He's great, but he doesn't know. He doesn't.
He genuinely doesn't.
And he doesn't watch Fox.
But the fact of the matter is, he's a really sweet guy, a good guy, and well-intentioned, but ignorant. And ignorant on basic facts that have been discovered.
I know many sweet, well-intentioned guys that somehow distance themselves from facts and information, and it's a weird impulse.
Well, what happened, though, I really think that there was such a revulsion from Trump being elected. And then I was in an elevator with Donald Trump and with Alec Baldwin. And, at the 2014, it was the 40th anniversary Saturday Night Live. They seemed to be getting along fine. And before he was told by the Democratic, intelligentsia to hate this person because he's in the wrong party. The revulsion that the Democratic intelligentsia, because they were so convinced it was a given that Hillary Clinton was going to be president. The idea of it was so an anathema to their dignity, to everything that they stood for, that they still are violently, revolting against that concept. And I really think that's like a place of absolute irrationality that they're still stuck in and clinging to. And I don't know what's going to take to get them out of it.
I don't know, because they're not results oriented. You know what I mean? Like, you can close the border and lower crime, and you can lower taxes, and you can stop inflation or whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's sort of anybody who's been in a tough relationship, and you know what I'm talking about. So here's an interesting thing, and I do think it's relevant.
How so?
Well, when you're in a relationship and your wife is building a case against you, they build that case. And all the luxury cars and vacation homes and trips to Maui with the kids that cost $20,000 for a week at a resort.
It's not included in that.
It never. It's a scale. It's a scale.
Yeah.
And they come into the den, and it's the seventh game of the World Series, and we're in extra innings, and they come into your den and they go, "Rob," and you go, "Shh, quiet." You put your hand up, and they walk back. Okay, that they remember. Going to fucking Maui for $23,000 and staying in a suite. That's hanging out on Howie Mandel's catamaran for the day. That's out the window. That never makes it onto the scale. The time you put your hand up and tell them to shush because the guy's about to throw a pitch in the 13th inning, that they take to the grave. And it never makes it to the scale.
Yeah.
And all the houses and all the cars and all the private schools and all the vacations and all that does not make him, because you are a bad dude, and we have a case to make against you. And so when they have a case to make against
the selective choices to make the case, yes.
It's not even that. They can take good and convert it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, sure, border crossings are at 0, but what about that one kid in the cage and the kid in the Yoda jammies they took a picture of crying?
Yeah, but that was under Obama. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's literally when a woman...
Stop talking about what actually happened.
When a woman is making a case, there is no bounds to it. And they have a thing with Trump. Now, you'll see a guy like Fetterman. He doesn't do it. He goes.
The part of his brain that's damaged is the Democratic part.
Right. He goes, well, I don't agree with him on this, but I do agree on that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you would do with COVID. You go, I don't know, maybe it came from a wet market, maybe it came from a lab.
Yeah.
But I know it came from a wet market. It never came from a lab, and you have to be deplatformed means something's wrong with you now, and that's where they're at.
Yeah.
No,
there's no give. I mean, like, just seeing Charlie Kirk, they're showing all the clips now, seeing him, and just the fact that, I don't want to discuss with you. You're automatically a racist, and you're with no proof provided, of course.
Right.
You're automatically, you hate trans people. It's like, no, but can we discuss it? Can you come and at least, or no, we're going to prevent you from talking.
Right.
That's the form of debate that the Democratic Party and the liberal intelligentsia, the leftists, are providing for us.
Well, by the way, I argue all the time. It's kind of a tell that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll give you an example. Guys written a story about me, a long article about me. And I don't know that much about it, but he does these things on Norm Macdonald, and he does U2, the band, and stuff like that. And for some reason, he thought he should do something on me. Mm-hmm. And so I was talking to him, and, he's going, well, you and your stance and how you are and your takes on COVID and stuff like that. Obviously, that's probably not made you real popular in Hollywood. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I've have a few parties I've been invited to. And he said, well, who are some of the people and what are some of the situations? And I said, well, I used to go to Phil Rosenthal's house for pizza parties, but I'm no longer invited to the pizza party. And, David Allen Greer used to be best friends with him, but he sort of called me white supremacists or whatever he called me.
Yeah.
And there's like Mark Maron would talk shit about me on stage and stuff. So it's like there's people, probably not a fan of my politics, and I don't talk to them anymore. And I formally, had a decent relationship with them, and they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So when he's writing the story, I just learned this yesterday. He goes around and he goes, well, who would be interesting to talk about you? And I said, well, you want to talk to Kimmel? All right, talk to Kimmel. He talks to Kimmel. He says, who else would be it? Mike August is pushing this stuff. He goes, well, give him a talk to Kevin Costner. I go, I don't know. I'm not bug Kevin Costner. Yeah, okay. Kevin Costner's happy. I talk to him for an hour. Happy to talk to him. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin gets on, talks to the guy for an hour.
None of those guys ended up in the article, right?
Judd Apatow, the article hasn't come out yet, but Judd Apatow talks to him. He gets Bill Simmons talks to him. He gets everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Then he says to me, I tried to put a call into David Allen Greer and Phil Rosenthal, and Mark Maron, none of them would talk to me. And the answer, now, it's not because they're pissed, it's because they're wrong. They're embarrassed. What they did is shameful.
Yeah,
and they can't fucking defend it, so they're being cowards now, and they're not going to talk to it.
And they won't. They can't defend it, and they won't defend it, so they just ignore that it happened.
Right.
It's just a death by ignorance.
You guys were all fucking wrong about everything, especially COVID. You punished me for being right, and now you're too cowardly to talk to a reporter.
No, they're all pussies. I mean, ultimately they are, and it's a shame. And there are liberals that I get along with and that are fine. And I don't even want to label them. It's just these are Americans, or some of them that I've completely disagreed with before, but you can have communication and talk to them, and you get them out of that thing. Just like Rob Reiner, if he sat here, he'd be the greatest, funnest guy to hang out with.
Sweet, and he's a great guy.
And then Jim Jeffries is. I just talked to him yesterday. He's the sweetest, loveliest guy. He used to be a hardcore lefty. He's come, I wouldn't say he's come over to being conservative, but he understands and has conversations as a normal guy and can admit the truth.
Yes.
And that's important. Do you want to live a life where you can admit the truth? Or can you admit where you're wrong? Or are you going to just stay? It seems like to be part of the liberal Hollywood, you have to maintain the lie. And that's like the Judd Apatows of the world, in my opinion. He just won't come around to, for instance, he's doing a Norm Macdonald documentary, not talking to me. He's been in every movie, everything I did. The most fun role he ever had, he said, was in one of my movies. And, the fact that... Norm Macdonald, yeah. Yes. And the fact that he wouldn't even call me, he called and said, you had any pictures? He said, pictures? You have any cool pictures of Norm? And I wanted to say, so, okay, you want a picture, but you don't want to hear any stories. Because, Norm absolutely was the most hilarious and would call out the bullshit on the Democratic side. And he didn't want to hear those stories, of course, because he's the same thing. He doesn't want to hear anything that could go against that liberal intelligentsia that could, stop him from being invited to one of those parties you're talking about.
Wood-fired pizza, man. I miss it.
I know, those parties are fun, and believe me, supermodels are not conservative. So sure, it's more fun to be in that party. For sure, 100%.
Well, speaking of douchebags, Trevor Noah.
Yeah, this guy is another just complete piece of shit. This guy. I
file these guys under the Ilhan Omars of the world, which is this country saved your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
And Charlize Theron. We saved you, and then you come over here and you just call us racist, basically, which is awesome.
You live your dreams. You become rich because of this incredible opportunity that this nation of freedom, this great experiment in freedom has provided you, and you pay us back by shitting on us.
Right.
And that's why Trevor Noah is just a complete piece of shit.
And not fucking very funny. I've seen his stand-up.
He's never made me laugh, and even liberals got sick of him on his own show, on The Daily Show, and they canceled the show because even them said, you know what, it's not funny enough. We're not, even the pandering that he did was unsuccessful.
He's going to speak out on the trans in sports subject.
Which he's an expert in.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, if a skinny ass man is allowed to be a boxer, a man who weighs less than a bag of cement is allowed to be a professional boxer, a man that I can pick up and throw to the other side of the room.
Mm-hmm.
He'll beat me in a fight, boxing, but I can lift him. If that person gets accommodated, why can we not accommodate a trans
What kind
woman?
of logic is that?
I don't fucking
What kind
know.
of fucking logic is that? First of all, if you could pick him up and throw him, you wouldn't be in the ring with him because you guys are a different weight category. What the fuck is that? I don't even understand.
I was trying to break down what he was meant. Super funny comedian, Trevor Noah. And I realized he's basically, I think what he's saying, and you tell me, and you guys, Dawson, Andrew, I think what he's kind of saying is I could pick up this flyweight and throw him across the ring, but he would fight another flyweight. They have weight divisions. He's not going to go against Ken Norton. He's going to go with someone who's equal to him. But you want to know what? Here's my answer, Trevor Noah. An average woman might weigh 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Roberto Duran started his career as a lightweight, 135-pounder.
Yeah.
So you think that woman, who is a boxer, could handle Roberto Duran when Roberto Duran was 23 years old? I don't. That's my argument. My argument is Roberto Duran starts off lightweight 135, wins the belt at lightweight before he moves up a couple of weight divisions. But Hands of Stone would take out Hands of Massengale. Is there a woman, a 135-pound woman on the planet that Roberto Duran would not destroy at 135 fucking pounds? That's the point.
No, what he's saying is, can we accommodate a skinny man beating up a woman? That's what the point of the matter is. This is a skinny man. Can we let him beat up women in a ring with a referee? It's like, it's so, he knows he's lying.
I guess.
He knows that it's the gymnastics that the logical gymnastics that he's having to accomplish there is not even making sense for him. And he's trying to, can we not let men, 110-pound men, I like the way he makes the men seem, defenseless.
By the way, the Olympics, we just tried this in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And we had a dude beat up women.
Which was horrendous. I will never see the Olympic.
That uppercut Roberto just threw at 135, man.
Oh, man.
He was a wrecking machine back then. But
There was one of his early fights, he fought 300 times. There was where there was a handsome guy he was fighting against, and by the end of the fight was not handsome anymore. The wife of that fighter jumped into the ring and started hitting Duran with her shoe. With her shoe, and he gave her a slight uppercut. I don't think that exists. But
all right,
it's in a famous book.
You find me a 135-pound chick that could have gone up against Roberto Duran in 1977.
Yeah.
All right, the great Rob Schneider. Let me give some plugs here.
Thank you,
I Really Love You, released on Angel. Also, a tour, Northfield, Ohio, MGM, Northfield Park, also Flint, Michigan, Capitol Theater, March 20th, March 21st. Rob, great stand-up comedian. Go check him out. Next, Rudy Pavich with the news. Yes. Bowl and Branch. You don't need all the gadgets and the apps to get better sleep. The fastest way to upgrade is by getting new sheets. Bowl and Branch signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton. They instantly make your bed feel more comfortable, breathable, and inviting. I was a little skeptical. I figured sheets couldn't make that big a difference, but now I hate sleeping without them. I feel so much better at home. When I'm touring, that's the only part I don't like. I don't got my Bowl and Branch sheets with me. And the sheets actually get softer after each wash. It is Bowl and Branch, right, Dawson?
Upgrade your sleep during Bowl and Branch's annual spring event. Take off 20% site-wide. Plus free shipping at bowlandbranch.com/ACS with code ACS. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLANDBRANCH.com/ACS, code ACS to unlock 20% off. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Let me tell you about Chime. Chime is changing the way people bank because it's built for you, not the 1%. It's not like old banks that charge overdraft and monthly fees. They turn everyday spending into real rewards and progress. They also help you build credit history and earn up to 3% APY on savings. It's rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service because they have real humans 24/7. It's the new way to build credit history with your own money and get rewarded every single day. I joined, and my banking has never been smoother, so I know it's going to help you as well. It's Chime, right, Dawson?
Chime is not just smarter banking, it's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. Head to chime.com/Adam. That's chime.com/Adam. It only takes a few minutes to sign up, and Adam Carolla Show listeners can earn up to an extra $350.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and the secured Chime Visa credit card are provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/feesinfo. Terms apply. Limited time only. Must open the new account and complete qualifying activities to earn rewards. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1% APY applies. No minimum balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Eighth man, Tom with an H from Philly. Hey, a two-part question. Number one, whatever happened to the K-Rock docs? Can you talk about it? We'd love to know. And more importantly, part two, how is Dennis Prager doing? We would love to hear an update on the great Dennis Prager. We miss him. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Prager's doing better. I was told, I spoke to him not too long ago, and I was told that he was going to start doing interviews and podcasts and things like that. He's still having a mobilization problem, but he's better than he was, and K-Rock Doc is as we speak, being worked on in this building. It keeps going from one long one to like a 4-parter to a 3-parter. Mm-hmm. So it's a little in flux, but there's your update. So Rudy has the news.
Yeah, let's do it. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has consistently denied Trump's offer to send U.S. military into Mexico to fight the cartels. She is apparently proud of this. President Trump recently announced a coalition of governments from across Latin America, but Mexico says no, and they're proud of the decision. Here's what she had to say. If the flow of illegal weapons from the United States into Mexico were stopped, these groups wouldn't have access to this type of high-powered weaponry to carry out their criminal activities.
You know, there's this thing that's more prevalent in women that I keep noticing, which is they look at themselves as heroes by telling other people don't like Trump to fuck off. But a lot of it's like progressive shit. Like during COVID, Trump sailed a Red Cross medical ship out here, and they were like, fuck you with your medical ship, get out of here. And it's like, I thought, well, aren't you the dicks that are telling us the hospitals are overrun? Like, what's, and like, yeah, fuck that guy. And it kind of reminds me of all the Elon Musk stuff where it is interesting. So it's like a feminine trait. So Amazon was trying to open a hub in like AOC's area, and she was like, fuck you, you know, because they're giving them tax incentives. Sure. Also, it's this weird thing. It's this weird relationship that Democrats have with taxes, which is it's like it's their money. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get ripped off by Amazon not paying taxes. And it's like, first up, they're not taking your money. They're paying less, but they're generating so much income that it's good for your constituents and like so many jobs, but it's not ripping you off. You know what I mean? Like if you make $1 billion and you pay 25%, it's still a shitload of money. It's not ripping off it. My secretary pays 28%. Yes, she makes $43,000. So it's a much smaller amount that you're getting from her. Let me just put it to you this way. With the amount that Elon, I will say this to the left. For the amount that Elon Musk pays in taxes, you guys can run fraudulent daycare centers and fraudulent hospice care centers in Los Angeles and Minnesota for 1,000 years. If you just do it off the money that's generated from the secretary, you can only keep the place open for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay? Can put it in your language.
Yeah.
And shouldn't we appreciate Trump
Yeah.
and Elon and all those guys? So everyone loves telling Trump and Elon, women love telling Elon to fuck off and Trump to fuck off, even if it's at their own detriment. But here she is. Let's see.
Qué bueno que el presidente Trump dice públicamente que cuando nos ha propuesto que entre el ejército de Estados Unidos a México hemos dicho que no.
Yeah.
Porque es la verdad,
Yeah,
hemos
say
dicho
no.
que no.
Yeah.
Y orgullosamente seguimos diciendo que no.
Yeah, it's good.
Qué bueno que el presidente Trump.
I will say also, you guys, like whatever shithole country you're from, like at a certain point, when you go, listen, it's not the people of wherever. It's like the drug cartels. We have so many drug cartels and they're battling in the streets and they've taken over the towns. Or you go to the Middle East and you go, it's not us. It's not the fine people. It's all the terrorist organizations. You ever stop and think, why does your country have a bunch of terrorist organizations? Or why does your country have fucking drug cartels? Maybe your country's a piece of shit. You ever think about that?
Yeah. So it starts with the ground. You know, I don't look at a shit carrot and go, well, the ground was perfect. This carrot just came up the back. No, man. No. It starts at the roots. You're right. It's in that equation. It's like, yes, this Amazon facility is overrun by drug cartels and by a bunch of people who are trying to get the fuck out. And maybe she's pissed that he decided to close some borders and now she's stuck with these goddamn criminals.
Well, here's basically the ultimate thing for any city, state, country. At some point, there is a border for everything. And it's like, well, you leave Los Angeles and now you're in Orange County, or you leave this and now you leave California and now you're in Nevada. For anything, any entity, there's a kind of a line and a demarcation line. Mexico, are people in the United States attempting to get into your country? Or are your people welding themselves into truck fenders to try to get into our country? And the answer is everyone's trying to get here and no one's trying to get there. Then why? Why? Because it's not like people are killing themselves in Canada trying to get to the United States. So what's so different about your country and Gavin Newsom if everyone is leaving California but no one is coming to California? Why? Because you can talk about tax code or test scores. You can talk about drug cartels. You can talk about poutine. You can talk about the Montreal Canadiens. You can talk about anything you want, but there is a bottom line. Like it's a bottom line. Like people used to go, my ex-wife used to always say to me, you know, everyone who works for you, they all hate you, which is awesome. I'd go, why don't you show up once in a while and fucking find out if someone does. But anyway, they all hate me. I go, fine. How come no one ever quits? Someone needs to quit. If you hate your boss, you fucking quit. I had a fucking guy named Jan who was my foreman when we were doing earthquake work. I hated this guy so much, even though I was getting $19 an hour, which is like, I was getting 12 normally, but I was getting like 19. I fucking couldn't take Jan Zetterberg anymore. And I was like, fuck you, Jan. I don't want to work with you anymore. And I just fucking quit. When your country's a piece of shit, you flee. When your country's good, you don't. Like everyone's like, oh, United States, oh, they invented slavery with the trailer. How come you're all coming here then? How come no one's fleeing?
Yeah.
Yes.
How come nobody has ever drank our water and shit themselves for 4 days?
Right. How come we don't have to get a bunch of shots before you come here? And then, you know, and all the Somalis. Okay, Somalia's great. It's full of proud people. What are they doing here? Go back to fucking Somalia. Like, there is a bottom line. California is not run right and people are leaving. Mexico is not run right. People are leaving. Canada's fine, so people stay there. Denmark is fine, so people stay there. Whatever that thing is, when you're not doing it right, it's a piece of shit, people flee.
Yeah, they need more poutine.
That's right.
That's right. Fuck yeah, they do.
All right.
LA awards $106 million to nonprofit whose lawyers hinder city's ability to clean up streets and bill, get this, $1,025 an hour. That is Garrigus money right there,
So
man.
we had to pay the homeless advocates money because we tried to get people off the streets?
Yeah, so the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles was awarded the largest share of an eye-popping $177 million tenant rights funding package approved by City Hall this week. The attorneys for this thing are actually the ones that are going to be making out the most. But meanwhile, they approved this for $177 million. Meanwhile, there's people that are going around going, hey man, I own some of these apartments and some of these complexes. People don't want to move here because there's nothing but litter and garbage and encampments in front of these places. No one wants to rent from me. And you guys are shelling out a bunch of dough to nonprofits who are charging that much, $1,025 an hour, but nothing's getting cleaned up around our facilities and where people are going to rent and live.
I was going to bed, getting angry last night, hearkening back on when Dr. Drew, I mean, let's really break this down, everybody. LA has a massive homeless problem. Nobody can deny it. It's the biggest in the United States. All right, so let's just not even be partisan here. Let's just agree on a few things. LA has a massive homeless problem that everyone can agree on. Even progressive Mayor Bass will tell you we must do something about the homeless problem, and then we start talking about the Olympics or the World Cup or whatever. Okay. So we have a massive homeless problem. Okay. Now, what drives the homeless problem is drugs and addiction. Because when you go into a shelter and these people are offered shelters, they cannot go into the shelter if they're going to do drugs. So they deny the open bed in the shelter because they want to do drugs. And I'm like, what if somebody said, and I kind of get it, like what if somebody said, hey, Rudy, Adam, after the show Saturday night, you can come up the street from the club and you can stay in our house. But my mom is there and she's Mormon and my wife's Mormon and there's just no alcohol allowed in the house, So, but you can stay for free.
Great.
I'd be like, I don't know. I like to have a drink after the show. I think I'd stay in the hotel. Yeah. Like, I'll just go and pay. You want to pay for a hotel room? Why don't you stay for free?
Yeah.
I'd like to stay for free, but I'd like to have a drink.
Yeah. Also, how'd this nerd get into our green room? Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here, you Mormons. So I get it. Like, these people are fucking hardcore drug addicts. Mm-hmm. So they would rather do the drugs than take the bed. So homelessness is a massive problem in LA. It's fueled by drug addicts. I defy you to find somebody who's sleeping outdoors on a fucking sidewalk with roaches and rats on a piece of cardboard that's not high, drunk, intoxicated, whatever. And I think, first off, the homeless population that are just folks that got, because the factory closed down and they got pushed out on the street, or the wife that got divorced, I think that fucking number's zero. Mm-hmm. I think that number's zero. I don't think it's like people do a thing where they go, a small percentage of them are just moms that are down on their, I think that number's zero. I've never seen it. I've traveled thousands of miles through this city. So have you. So has Dawson. I've never seen a sober mom walking around with her kids. It's all fucking junkies. It's all crazy junkies. All right. And then they go, well, but what about the people with schizophrenia and stuff? Some of it, small percentage. I think it's a small percentage. I think if anyone really got to the bottom of this, what percentage of people who are sleeping outdoors are not using something? Do you think there's someone who's just stone cold sober who just goes to bed that night?
Yeah, zero.
I don't think it exists. So drugs and addiction is driving this problem. It is the cause of the problem. And 5 years ago, Dr. Drew who's an addiction medicine specialist, who's been specializing in that field for about 40 years, said to the LA City Council, you do not have anybody in this homeless task force that's an addiction medicine specialist, yet addiction is the number one problem that you guys have to solve. So that sort of sounds insane. It'd be like saying if the biggest problem with the homeless is not enough inexpensive housing, but nobody on the board had any building experience, no architecture experience, no engineering experience. That would be kind of dumb because you're all just in the dark now. So the city council has nobody who has addiction medicine expertise of any kind, just a bunch of dumb fucking yentas. And Dr. Drew says, I will volunteer my services to work with you to address this problem. And they tell him to go pound sand. They go fuck off.
Yeah.
So would one then assume that they were interested in solving this problem? This is, by the way, like Scheinbaum telling Trump to fuck off. Anybody with any field of expertise, hey, white guy, fuck off.
Yeah.
A white guy who knows a whole bunch of shit and might be able to impact your problem, yeah, you can fuck off too. Which means, A, they're not that interested in solving the problem, but B, they get paid no matter what, because if you got paid based on performance, you'd be dying for that guy to volunteer his information. There's a Times article written by some crazy yenta about 5 years ago that attacked Drew for volunteering to help the homeless with addiction.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Absolutely.
So that's all chick think. Sorry. It's all fucking chick think, and we're screwed. And guess what? I hope you're sitting down, but since 5 years ago when Drew offered to volunteer his time, the homeless problem's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Much worse in the last 5 years with much more addiction. Dr. Drew eyed for homeless commission angers advocates.
Yeah.
He angered at the advocates, the advocates who get paid. By the way, Dawson. Drew angered the people who are in charge of spending the $24 billion that we've wasted on homelessness. He angered those advocates who make their bones with homeless people, not getting homeless people off the street. So when a disruptor like Drew shows up, they want him to fuck out. So
if I was making money and somebody said something that means I wasn't going to make money, I'd be mad at him too. I'd be angered.
Embezzling from the company. You and your 5 friends have been embezzling from the company for 20 years. I announced good news. I got an auditor. We can come in and go ahead and audit these books. And then you and your 5 buddies take a vote and tell them to get the fuck out. But the super retard from the Los Angeles Times takes your side. That's the crazy part. The bitch at the Times who's not even getting paid is advocating to get Drew out of there.
Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with anything else other than you're on the other side of the aisle, so go fuck right off.
Oh, by the way, you know what I love about the old articles? It's a controversial stance on COVID. You mean shit we were right about? And you guys never apologized?
Yeah.
That stance?
Yeah.
That controversial one?
Yeah.
It's like my controversial stance of, I thought we should have killed Hitler before World War II. It's like saying that's my stance and then no one ever apologized to you.
It's like when I see sports fans getting angry at each other, like, fuck the Eagles fans. These guys are dickheads. I'm like, if you're hanging off the side of a cliff and you're about to fall, but a guy's got an Eagles jersey on and he reaches down to pick you up and help you, would you go, sorry, bro, I fucking hate Philly. You go ahead and let me drop. No, of course not. And that's what Mexico and that's what California's in with the cartels and with the homeless. You got people with resources that can help you out, but because they decide to walk with another group of people, you go, you know what, just pound sand, get the hell out of here. I don't piss off.
You know what happened? You'd be hanging off that cliff. The Eagles guy would show up, like Andrew's a big Eagles guy.
Yeah.
Then he'd go, he'd reach out and he'd go, wait a minute, are you an Eagles fan? And you'd go, I'm a Ravens fan. And he'd kick your hand and you'd go sailing down the cliff and he'd yell, fly, Eagles, fly. And then he'd laugh.
And then he'd throw a beer bottle at Santa Claus, you son of a bitch.
That's right. All right. Next story.
All right. BBC says deep wound stab kits are now recommended on London buses for some strange, unstated reason. Weird how these things suddenly just pop up in a country that pioneered public transportation.
Yeah. Listen, oh God, it's so fucking sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Islamists stabbing people on public transportation.
Yeah, like you say, like the barbed wire around the signs, so they can
freeway
keep
signs.
the freeway signs. Yeah, that is a sign that your city is in shambles.
So let me just say something to everybody. Like there are moments when you like if you have a daughter, I have a daughter. You know what I mean? And then you said. Oh, Adam, my daughter's going to come stay at your house for a little while we're out on the road. And I went, okay. And then you said, you don't have nail polish remover around the house, do you? And I went, huh? Maybe. Oh, she'll drink that. Yeah, we gotta get rid of that. I would argue that instead of burning calories hiding the nail polish remover, bigger questions should be asked. Like, why is your daughter so bad off that she's drinking nail polish remover? And I would say the same. I said it a million times. When we start putting the barbed wire around the freeway signs in L.A., we should have asked ourselves, where are we going as a city? By the way, we've gotten much worse. And then we get into these conversations about, well, we can't have lights up on the 6th Street Bridge because guys come and steal the copper. So we won't be able to reinstall the wiring until we can harden it. Like the fact that we need to harden things, you know, the fact that every gas station needs to have 4 inches of bulletproof glass and you got to talk to a guy through the fucking drawer. Sure. The fact that you can't go to the CVS and get cartridges for your razors or shampoo without someone with a set of keys to unlock it from a cage. And the fact that we need deep stabbing kits on transportation, that's a time to stop and go, what the fuck is going on? All right, so here's how I do it. Who's doing the stabbing? Like, I don't do a thing where I go, get everyone a stabbing kit. My feeling is, who's doing the stabbing? And then people go, well, we can't answer that because that's racist. I go, yes, we can answer it. We need to answer all of it. Who's doing whatever it is we don't want? Who's doing that? Yeah. Because I would like to know. And by the way, that doesn't make me racist. It makes them stabbers.
Yeah.
You understand? It means you're really good at stabbing, not I'm really good at being racist.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking asking what the problem is. I'm trying to solve the problem. Me saying black dads need to hang out and raise their kids is not me being racist. It's kind of the opposite of being racist. I'm actually trying to solve the fucking problem. You're talking about systemic racism like it's radon gas. You're never going to get to the fucking problem.
Yeah.
I'll get to the problem. Who's doing the stabbing?
Yeah. If you're at a bar with all white people, but there is a whole group at a table that are donning Hell's Angels vests, and you're looking for a table to sit at, where are you going to sit? Probably not next to the dudes who are donning the Hell's Angels vest. So yeah, you do a little bit of profiling. It's what you're supposed to do. It's in our human nature to stay safe.
Yes. So why the necessity? There's some good tweets, Andrew says on this one. Why the necessity for these stabbing kits? And by the way, you know who was a bus driver back in the day?
Tell me. Otto from The Simpsons.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not as good.
Yeah.
Don't run any for a second. Let me just talk to Rudy for a second. You know who drove public transportation? Ralph Cramden.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason was a bus driver in New York, right?
Yeah, bus driver by day, wife beater by night. He knew how to run a family.
He never came home and said, oh, man, a junkie took a shit in my bus today, or a crazy tranny tried to stab an elderly Asian man, or these black teens all jumped on the bus at the same time and refused to pay the fare, or some Shiite Muslim declared a jihad and tried to stab an elderly man. Nope. He just drove a bus.
Yeah.
He drove a bus, he wore a bow tie, and he just came back every day with his shirt tucked in and his bow tie on. And it'd say, like, long day at work. But there was never a story.
Yeah.
You could not make a sitcom about a guy who drove a bus today in a major metropolitan city. I guess Honeymooners was in New York. I'm guessing.
So, yeah.
Can you imagine having a guy, his vocation was a bus driver in New York City, came back and there was never a story about someone taking a shit on the bus or stepping on a syringe or anything. New York.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
Yeah, you
never had a story about it. Wasn't a big thing. No violence. No incidents.
Yeah, you also couldn't make the show because you couldn't get the camera inside of the bulletproof case they have to lock themselves inside of to be able to drive the goddamn bus now.
The only controversy with him in the bus from an episode of The Honeymooners is like, well, a black chick did try to sit up front, so I did have to
send her to the
had
moon.
to walk her to the moon. Yes. All right, where are we?
All right. So Quentin Tarantino today fired back at Rosanna Arquette, her recent critique of Pulp Fiction, specifically for Tarantino's frequent use of the N-word. I hope the publicity you're getting from 132 different media outlets, writing your name and printing your picture was worth disrespecting me and my film. I remember quite clearly, you were thrilled to be a part of, he wrote in a statement obtained by Deadline. But after I gave you a job and you took the money to trash it for what I suspect is very cynical reasons, shows a decided lack of class, no less honor.
Yeah. Well, I don't. First off, when you do a movie, first off, any period, whatever, you get a fucking pass. Like, they made the movie Miracle, which, with everything going on, I recommend.
Yeah, great.
All right. No black players on that hockey team. And the reason there's no black people in the movie The Miracle is because there were no black people in 1980 on the hockey team. And neither was the coach and neither was the assistant coach. So they just recreated that. Now, you can complain because there's 25 white dudes. Where's the black dude? But you get a pass because they didn't have a black dude on the team.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. And I think you should be able to do that historically. And when people threw around the N-word, whether it was Django Unchained or whatever, Pulp Fiction, if that's the way they talk, then that's the way they talk. Then tough shit, Roseanne.
Yeah. Also, I always hate when people take jobs, they take the money, and then they go back and they have a lot of shit to say about people that employed them.
You who voted for Ilhan Omar. Really? You have a problem with people who don't appreciate what you've done for them?
Yeah. You get fired from a job and somebody goes, I'm never going down to that Quiznos again, or I'm never listening to that radio station again. I'm like, yeah, but for 9 years they paid our mortgage. We brought our kids through private school, and also we bought 2 vehicles and had a trip every single year. So I know I'm getting fired and it sucks, but hey, it was nice for 9 years, wasn't it? Now let's go find something else to do. Well, I'm not going to shit on them.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and the day when you fire me because everyone in this building is completely scared of you, I'm not going to talk shit.
I think I'm an asshole. Yeah, I feel the same way. I've been let go from radio jobs and stuff like that. It's weird to get pissed. First off, they're letting you go for a reason. Oh, Andrew, it reminded me because I had this joke that it's not an on-stage joke, but it's a thing. I liked a tweet from a few days ago where it's a black guy who's getting thrown off a Spirit Airlines flight, and he's getting thrown off for being rude. And when they're trying to throw him off, he's like, "Fuck you!" And it's like, yeah, that, and I always had this joke, but it's so true. Like, so many people, like the joke was, you pull a guy into your office and you just go, "Steve, sorry, it's just not working out here at the office, and we got to let you go because, some people are finding your tone to be a little disrespectful." He's like, "Go fuck yourself." And you're like, yes. Guys do that while it's like, I want to stop in the middle of stuff and go, this is why this is why we're firing you.
Proving my point, yes.
Right. So there's this young black dude, I think he's on a Spirit flight, and he's basically being thrown off the flight because a Frontier. He's being thrown off the flight because he walked past a stewardess, and I guess it was a female, and instead of like saying excuse me or something like that, he's like move, and she felt intimidated and like unsafe, which is the new world order. Everyone feels unsafe, and so she went in and said, get this guy off the flight. Like, I don't want to fly with this guy because he sort of menaced me or something.
Yeah.
So then we pick it up from the poor guy who works at the airport having to come in and tell the young black man, you were rude and you got to come off this flight. Here we go. Sorry.
I'm not grabbing. I'm still a flight. You don't grab it. What's that? He's going to stay on with it. Felt threatened. The flight attendants.
She felt threatened.
Get out of my way? Yes. The fuckers felt threatened about that. I feel threatened right now. I'm trying to get to my seat. What feel threatened about that? You're behaving. I'm looking for we need you off the What's the threat about that? Fuck no. Tell Jimmy to call me. Get back up, man.
The comedy is, you can keep going, it gets better, but she felt threatened and he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel threatened.
Yeah.
That's a threat.
I'm scared for that guy just watching this.
Get out of the way. Like a fuck you, douche.
Yeah.
You can't fly in an airplane.
I should wave to everybody. Yeah. This motherfucking waves my time. I ain't threatening nobody.
Yeah. This is what MLK was talking about by not color of skin, but content of character.
Right.
What's the threat about that? Get out of my way. Ain't no motherfucking threat. You know what a threat is?
I'll show you the
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Get out of it. By the way, you imagine getting on an airplane just yelling, get out of my way. Let me just say something. Can I say this for a second? Whether it's you fucking wrestling with an ice guy or getting shitty at an airport or getting in someone TSA's face or anything to do with an airplane, fucking bite your lip and shut your fucking face.
Yeah.
They will throw you out of there so fucking fast. You don't get to call an attorney or a lifeline. You're just out.
Yeah.
You're just gone.
Yeah, watched the girl get arrested on a flight to Austin one time. She was completely hammered and took not a swing, but kind of like an elbow at an officer. And she was all of 115 pounds, probably no food, drank all day at the airport. This guy was not playing. Grabbed her right by the neck, put an arm behind her. Yeah, just threw her right on the ground. And people were like, why is this happening? I'm like, because she's hammered and she's making a scene in front of everybody. Won't shut her goddamn mouth.
Here's the thing. Go back. Yeah, go back a little bit. Look, here's the thing. When you're out in LA or you're out in New York, feel free to jump on the hood of a cop car and take a shit on the windshield and nothing will happen. When you're inside a fucking airplane, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, play it. I just love that he's threatening people because he's thrown off because he's threatening people. He's threatening.
Stand down. Stand down. I'm not saying the fuck is you talking about. Looks like you want to do something. Do.
See?
He's threatening the guy to have a fight.
Do something, I do.
Gotta have pride. Yeah. Gotta have a lot of pride when you're leaving a Frontier flight.
Yeah, $29 round trip. A lot of pride.
A lot of pride.
Obviously, this is a first for me on a flight, but that's kind of interesting.
You don't fly that much on Frontier. 'Cause I fly Frontier 4 times a month, and I'm telling you,
this is called a Wednesday.
Yeah, this is
Frontier.
par for the course. Yeah. It's funny when they always go, we'd like to offer the Frontier Airlines credit card. I'm like, do you think anybody on this flight has credit? Look around. I mean, if credit is dignity, dignity flies Delta. There's no
but
chance.
you haven't been on a date and popped that baby out.
Actually, I have because I have one in my wallet.
That's what we call a panty dropper, Rudy.
It is.
You're fucking at Arby's. She thinks you're going Dutch, and then all of a sudden the Frontier Airlines credit card comes out.
There's nothing more.
You got the Ralph's lanyard on your keychain. keychain. She's already sized you up for a whale.
Yeah, my Costco card is stuck to the bottom of the Frontier Airlines. There is nothing more embarrassing than when you go out to eat with like a bunch of people in the industry who are all, big timers. They got big Amexes, couple black cards get thrown on the table. We'll split this up. And then I literally just throw down my Frontier Airlines credit card.
I had my first credit card I got when I was like 28. Bank of Hoven. Secured. You gave them $500, they gave you $300 in credit.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't even give you the full amount.
Wow. That's unbelievable. No cosigner on this one? Probably not, huh?
If you can give them $500, they will give you $300 worth of credit card. That was the Bank of Hoven.
Yeah.
Is there a Bank of Hoven? Still, that I may have been the first person in my family to get a credit card.
Yeah. Listen, I've stepped it up in the credit card game because I'm looking through here now. There's an Amex Platinum. I got the Delta Reserve card, and I got the Marriott Bonvoy card.
Ooh.
So at least I'm flying decently and staying in decent places now. My goal for the year is to stay at hotels where I don't open the front door and walk into a parking lot. That's the goal for this year. And so far, I'm only at one.
Yeah.
Dallas.
I stay at ones that have the word roof and airport in them.
Don't stay in inns.
Inns.
Yeah, anything like a Days Inn, Road Inn.
Hey, let me give you this road tip.
Yeah.
I never thought of this. Going off to do shows in Nebraska, and we're trying to figure out where to stay. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that place nice? Is that place nice? You know what I said to my assistant? I go, what year was that place built? And she's like, this one was built in 2022. And I said, everything that's new is nice now.
Yeah.
Everything that cars that are new, like work, they're all nice. Like new, even cheap hotels, when they're new, they're nice.
Yeah.
So if it's one from the 60s, forget about it.
You're talking about Norfolk? They
Yeah.
put you in the best hotel room.
Oh, they do?
Oh, and it's literally 100 feet from the front door of the venue. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
I was told something different, so we're going to have to figure that out.
It's the best.
Bank of Hoven credit card commercials ready to go. I probably saw this when I was 28. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
What? After a bad credit report, I couldn't get a Visa or MasterCard until I applied at the Bank of Hoven. They approved me.
And they can approve you, regardless of past credit experience,
Picture
even
me at
bankruptcy.
27 and a
Bank of
half
Hoven is
sitting in
your
my
best
apartment.
chance to get a Visa or MasterCard. Operators are standing by, so call the number on your screen now. They've approved thousands and want to approve you, even if you've never had credit before. Operators are standing by. Do it now. Call today.
Oh, man.
I could get this Bank of Hoven card and then use that as a stepping stone to get a Discovery card.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. That model looked good, but it was a little bit homely.
A little bit, yeah. There was something going on there for sure.
All right, so going to be in Santa Ana. That'll be on the 22nd, doing the whole Newman car collection thing there. I think Jay Moore's going to be there, do a live pod. That'll be the Jordan Family Classic Cars. And then also coming up, the whole Nebraska run. Norfolk coming up 27th, 28th, and then Lincoln at Howler Comedy Club. That'll be the 29th. Rudy, what do you got?
This Friday, I will be in Oakdale, Minnesota, doing Next Stop Comedy. Then Saturday, Monroe, Wisconsin on the 21st. The 27th, Lowertown, St. Paul at Gambit Brewing, one of the best rooms. And then March 29th, I'll be in Lincoln with you.
So, until next time, this is Adam Carolla. For everyone who's been here saying mahalo.